Well, what a special day it is indeed. Day 5 of Melbourne Royal and the big G, as you say, Peter Hegney, today.
Well, it is a big day, Lindsay Douglas, absolutely. An exciting day. It's wonderful for all our competitors and, of course, for the people here to see the big Garryowen.
The 88th Garryowen equestrian turnout, 4 first-year competitors, 19 in total, and a really special presentation will be made in a few hours' time. The history books will be rewritten with a new combination. Now, Jeremy Roberts, you'll be on the ground bringing us all of the inside scoop.
Yes, Lindsay, we'll be live streaming this year's Garryowen. I look forward to catching up with our competitors after their workout. We'll get a little bit more insight into the Garryowen from some past competitors as well. Lindsay, I'm so excited by today. My first time being involved in the Garryowen. The hype is amazing. It's so wonderful to be out here for this prestigious award.
Now, you may notice that we are all wearing our gardenias here today in honour of an extraordinary woman, Peter Hegney.
She absolutely was. The late Vale, of course, and the event itself, of course, is named after her wonderful horse, Garryowen, which unfortunately, and you're going to tell a story, aren't you, during the event, about how unfortunately her horse was lost in a stable fire. But the event, of course, itself is named after that great horse that was lost in Garryowen.
This is an event steeped in history. There is not a Victorian or a person involved in the horse world not aware of the significance of the Garryowen. And now we're going to take a little trip down memory lane and look at the event some 40 years ago.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, how wonderful to have our first heat of competitors in this very prestigious Garryowen making their way.
The Garryowen Perpetual Trophy is the most sought-after event in the show world. It is the highest honour that can be bestowed. This event will see a specialist team of judges select between them a combination of horse and rider that show an almost perfect chemistry during workout. The horse will be exceptionally schooled and well prepared. The rider, confident and immaculately groomed. It will be the culmination of months of hard work and training. Together, they must convince no less than 5 judges to score them highly. Their general appearance, saddlery and costume will be under close scrutiny. The horse's conformation and the rider's ability will be
Live stream, the 2022 Garryowen live stream. Great to have you all here as we listen to the history and tradition of the wonderful trophy that is the Garryowen.
It has evolved into the most coveted reward and the ambition of every female rider. But one thing's for certain. When they line up in front of the judges on that special day at the Melbourne Royal, only one name will appear in the history books. Because thousands have tried, but few have won the Garryowen.
And firstly, can I welcome our judges who are officiating in our Garryowen for us this year. Judging the riding is Catherine Neal. Judging our confirmation, Mike Tweedy. The saddlery is being judged by Cynthia Doherty. The workout of the horse is being judged by Carol Hassel. The general purpose, beg your pardon, the general appearance is being judged by Diane Melrose, and the rider's costume is being judged by Penny Verco. So a big welcome to our judges officiating in the Garryowen for 2022. Now, our first competitor out is competitor 1096. This is Natalie Mackay. Natalie comes from Tynong North, and Natalie rides the thoroughbred horse St Andrews. Now, just a little history on Natalie. As her costume and her saddlery is being judged, Natalie began riding when she was just 7 years of age. She started riding ponies and has ridden right through, now graduating to hacks. She's had many successes in the show ring. In 2022, she was Grand National Runner-Up Rider. She was also had the Runner-Up Open Large Hack and the Champion Child's Hack. The Equestrian Victoria Show Horse of the Year Award winner in 2022. She was EA National Off the Track Champion in 2021 and 2019. Our first rider who has now been assessed for saddlery and for costume, it is Natalie Mackay and St Andrews. Now, Natalie will now progress for a warm-up before she commences her workout. While the workout is being judged, our confirmation and soundness judge will also be viewing the horse, as will, of course, our judge who is, in fact, judging the actual individual workout. Similarly, our riding judge will also be making her assessment while the horse is completing its workout. Our first competitor, 1096, Natalie Mackay from Tynong North in Victoria and St Andrews.
Well, it's absolutely wonderful to have you all joining us on the live stream. After each of our competitors, I'll have an opportunity to chat with them and see how each of them felt after their workout. I'm just chatting to the young ladies down here in the first heat and to ask them how they're feeling. They're excited for the most part. Some of them...
Second competitor.
Some of them a little bit sore. They've in turnout gear they don't normally ride in, but we're very excited to be entering their heats.
Our second competitor now, who is being judged for her costume and the saddlery as well, is competitor 1744. This is Samantha McMaster from Loxley here in Victoria, and Samantha rides Somerset Hit.
Well, the costume section of the program is one that is so very intricate. And the fox hunting attire that you see out there originated in the 16th century. And we're looking at all of the various elements that are requisite for this competition, including that lovely black coat, 23 ounces of pure wool, virtually waterproof, with the navy satin lining hand-stitched, with, in most cases, a white lace cotton hanky in the right pocket.
Well, our first competitor now, Natalie Mackay and St Andrews, are currently completing their workout in the fenced arena at the northern side of the Horses in Action Arena. Meanwhile, our second competitor, 1744, Samantha McMaster and Somerset Hit, have had their saddlery and their costumes assessed. Now, Samantha, like so many of our riders in this class, have been riding for as long as they can remember. Samantha started off at Pony Club. She then went on to spend most of her riding career showing and retraining ex-racehorses. She was also an eventer. In fact, she was actually down at Werribee doing a one-star horse trials just 2 weeks ago with her eventer. So a very versatile lady. Samantha has had great success in the show ring. She won the Grand National Rider 21 to 30 in 2021, was runner-up in 3 classes at Barrostock Horse of this year, and qualified for the EA Nationals in December. Samantha's family have a very strong link with the Melbourne Royal. In fact, Samantha's mother, Lisa, competed here many times at the Melbourne Royal Show and also competed several times in the Garryowen. Samantha herself has only once before competed in the Garryowen. That was some 7 years ago when she won the Best First-Year Competitor.
Well, I can see our third competitor heading over now for the costume judging with the glorious Penny Verco. And I was talking about the black coat before. Well, under that, you'll see a vest with the tassels check in pure wool, hand-stitched with the bottom button left open. The shirt that they're wearing is double-cuffed with small gold cufflinks. So much detail and intricacy here. And the stock, well, what an amount of effort. The white Morella cotton that is starched within an inch of its life, hand-tied. The rail of the stock needs to fold to the left. For men, it would be to the right. And the way the ladies, it follows the way that the lady's coat actually buttons up. So the stock is attached to the shirt by a 2.5-inch plain golf pin, and the end the stocks are pinned with a gold safety pin to the top to stop it from flapping. And it's a bit of an ordeal to get the stock just so to stay throughout the competition. Well, the stock back in the day would have been used as a sling or a bandage in the event of injury, and it would have been secured again by the gold pin. There are 2 studs in the collarless shirt that you see there, large at the front, small at the back, to secure the stock in place. And it's tied tightly around the neck for 2 very good reasons. One, back in the day, to keep the rain from running down one's neck, and secondly, to give the neck the support it needs in the event of a fall. Remember that this was all worn in the hunt field.
Well, our first competitor has completed the workout. That's Natalie Mackay in St Andrews. You can now see our confirmation and soundness judge, Dr. Mike Tweedy, making assessment of the horse. He would have, of course, observed the horse in its workout to ensure its soundness. He now makes an assessment of its conformation. And ladies and gentlemen, that completes the judging overall for our first competitor. It is competitor 1096. It's Natalie Mackay and St Andrews. Our second horse now, commencing their workout, is competitor 1744. This is Samantha McMaster and Somerset Hit. Meanwhile, having been judged already, in fact, for clothing and for saddlery, is competitor 938, Elizabeth Krog and Warrawee Impresario. Elizabeth Krog and Warrawee Impresario come from Bass here in Victoria. Again, Elizabeth began riding at a very young age as a 3-year-old. She's enjoyed great success with her horse. They were champion hack at Sydney Royal Easter Show, and this horse, Warrawee Impresario, was also champion large hack here at the 2022 Melbourne Royal Show. He's twice been Barrow-Stock Horse of the Year champion and twice Show Horse Council of Victoria champion as well. That is competitor 938, which will be our next horse to enter the arena for the workout. But in the meantime, we are watching competitor 1744, Somerset Hit and Samantha McMaster complete their workout.
Well, Natalie Mackay, first up, how did you think you went?
Well, it's pretty tricky to be the first one out, but I'm really happy with how we've gone. So, you know, I did as best as I could do. So that's all you can do. Yep.
Absolutely. In the spirit of Violet Murrell, you can do the best that you can do. Firstly, congratulations on being here. Your second time competing here in the Garryowen. Do you think that the first time, having already been out here, was worked in your favour? So coming out here for the second time, you felt a little bit more relaxed, a bit more comfortable?
Absolutely. Yeah, you learn so much in the first year of doing it, how, you know, to get out there without nerves taking over, just riding your horse and enjoying it. That's what it should be all about. So.
Absolutely. And who have you got to thank for getting you in the ring today?
Definitely a massive thank you to my mum. Without her, none of this would be possible, so thank you, Mum. Rebecca Farrow, who's been my mentor throughout the turnouts, massive thank you to her. And everyone else, thank you. You all know who you are. Yeah, thank you. I can't do it without you, thanks.
Absolutely fabulous. Well done, Natalie Mackay, the first of our competitors out here in the Garryowen.
Well, that is the completed workout for competitor 1744, Somerset Hit and Samantha McMaster. Now a final assessment being made by our confirmation and soundness judge, Dr. Mike Tweedy.
Well, there you are, ladies and gents, the first of our competitors. It can never be fun going first, but somebody has to. So Natalie McKay has had her
Being
opportunity out
judged
there.
for saddlery and for costume now is competitor 390. This is Alaya Lom and Shintilla. Now, Alaya purchased this horse, Spencer, as he's known around the stables, sight unseen from a Facebook ad as a 4-year-old off the tracker. Now, she didn't know much about him at the time. She sent him for a few weeks to Bruce O'Dell and then continued training him, and she's been competing with him ever since. Alaya says herself she has his quirks and moments, but she loves him as a fantastic horse with a great attitude, and he loves coming to the big shows. Now, pre-COVID, he was placed at Melbourne each year. He was 6th in the Esquire in 2018 and champion owner Rider Hack at the Show Horse Council Gala. In our arena at the moment, completing their workout, is competitor 938. It's Warrawee Impresario and Elizabeth Krog.
So, as Peter explained earlier, the competition is run the way it has been run for 88 years, where each of our riders, in the order that they were drawn on our special champagne evening the other night, they are brought into the arena where they're directed to the saddlery and costume judge, asked to dismount. Once that section is completed, they are assisted by a red coat, remount their horses in preparation for their warm-up, head into the ring, commence their workout, and during the workout they are judged by several judges, one for their riding, one for manners and paces, one for general appearance, and then upon completion of the workout, the rider exits the arena, halts in front of the confirmation and soundness judge, and the final assessment takes place. It is quite an art of arithmetic out there with many scores combined to determine our final name, our combination heading into the history books. Jeremy Roberts on the ground now with another of our completed campaigners.
That's right, Samantha McMaster down here. Your second time competing in the Garryowen. You're in the first heat. How did you feel like you went this morning? How have your preparations been?
Good. He didn't give me the easiest ride out there. The atmosphere is very big, but I'm very happy with how everything's looking and feeling. It's always, I had a bit of a stressful morning getting ready for the Garryowen, but everything came together pretty well, and I had a small but good team around me, so we got everything together.
Peter Hegney mentioned about the a lot of the horse pursuits that you've been involved in. That is a real sort of spirit, isn't it? And coming here and being part of the Garryowen is really special.
Yeah, it's such a special event to be a part of. As you said, I've done it once before, and that was amazing, and it's an amazing experience to be out here, on this horse, and he's coping pretty well for his first Royal.
Absolutely fabulous. There you are, Lindsay Douglas. Samantha McMaster rode Somerset Hit, number 1744.
Great opportunity to introduce you to our confirmation and soundness judge, Mr. Michael Tweedy, who grew up in Northern Ireland, and he started riding at the age of 8, with his first pony being Barney Rubble, a Welsh mountain pony, a great way to start. And from there he developed riding all the way through to show jumping as a junior, gained the majority of his horse knowledge working for a lady, Perdita Blackwood, who taught him all about the basics of being a horse owner. Lady P, as she was affectionately known, had the pleasure of owning a horse that has won every single class at the Royal Dublin Horse Show, held every August in Dublin, from show jumpers to kid pony to hunter classes. And Michael says that working for Lady P, they produced many Irish hunters for the show ring. They broke in and prepared and qualified multiple horses each year for the Royal Dublin Horse Show. And showing was a part of the horses' education in Ireland, with many of these horses being sold on to become eventers or hunting horses for the rest of their lives. He started vet school at Cambridge University in England, where his passion for horses continued to develop, and his first job was at the Goulburn Valley Equine Hospital upon graduation. The passion for horses has continued since then, owning many with his lovely wife Lara Tweedy, and they're the owners of several horses, from dressage horses right through to their son's show pony called Paris. And Lara's first show pony, Imperial Flirt, has retired to the paddock and is still with them today after over 20 years. They're based on the Mornington Peninsula and run 3 vet clinics down there focused on the performance horse industry. Michael Tweedy, welcome to you, our confirmation and soundness judge.
Wrong way round. Well, our final horse in the first heat is competitor 1486. And this is Georgie Kellock, and Georgie rides Christine Frost's Ink. Meanwhile, down there in the workout, we're watching competitor 1748. This is Entelli, My Signature Move, and Bryony Lee. Next horse to compete, who has already had their costume and saddlery judged, is Scintilla, competitor 390. But at the moment, completing their workout, it is competitor 1748, Bryony Lee, and Entelli, My Signature Move. Now, Bryony Lee from Whittlesea has had a great history in riding. She's been riding, well, by her own quote, before she could walk. Her parents and her grandparents were heavily involved in the horse industry, and therefore her love and passion for horses started at a very young age. In fact, Bryony had the opportunity to ride and compete successfully in England when she was just a 16 and 17-year-old. And she says the experience she had in the UK has definitely inspired her to train and bring young horses up through the ranks. She's currently breaking in many top-class horses and ponies for the future, and she loves everything she does about it. And she's very excited and honoured to be competing here. Among her successes, I might add, she was awarded the Grand Champion Rider at the Grand Nationals in 2020. In 2020, her wonderful horse Valentino took out the Grand Champion Show Hunter of the show. She announced that horse's retirement, in fact, after he won that award. Now in 2022, she's had a wonderful year riding Royal Opera. She had Champion Large Gallow at the Grand Nationals, Champion Rider 18 to 25 years at the Southern Cross Spectacular for the 3rd time. At Sydney Royal, she won the Lady Rider 18 to 14. At the Adelaide Royal Shows, she had Champion Open Galloway with Royal Opera, and already at the 2000 Melbourne Royal, she won Best Novice Show Hunter Hack with her very own horse, Warrawee Steamheat.
Now, Peter Hegney, I'm just down here on the arena with Elizabeth Krog. Lizzie, a very exciting day for you today. Your first time riding in this very prestigious Garryowen on your beautiful horse, Warrawee Impresario. You've come out of the ring and you're asking, how did I go? How did I go? Question is, how do you think you went?
Well, at first I thought I was going to stop, but we managed to get around and he felt awesome. So I'm very proud of him, and I only said I'd do this event if I had the right horse, and that's why I'm out here today.
The first time, it must be pretty daunting coming out to here. For some of our other competitors that I've chatted to, they've been here before. They know what to expect. You've probably been told some stories, but being out here and the feeling, how does it feel to be out here in such a prestigious class such as the Garryowen?
I think it all comes down to the people that you have around you. I'm very lucky to have people that keep me level-headed and know what they're talking about. So Mon and Court, Chanel, Howard, Glenn, I'm very, very grateful for what you've done for me, and especially Monica and Courtney. They've done a lot for me to get here today.
Well, Lizzie, we wish you the best of luck, and a beautiful horse. You had a great week so far, so we'll see what the judges think.
Thank you very much.
Over to you.
One of our competitors about to head in next to the warm-up arena, and all of our attire and costume sections in Heat 1 have now been judged, but it's an interesting time to look into the detail and the preparation. I was chatting with some of our competitors, and they said the effort required to hunt down, excuse the pun, some of the traditional attire required for this class is really quite an exhaustive effort. The likes of the gloves that need to be buffed, leather, palmed, and then the cotton knit on the back and have a small pearl button on them. The breeches in the buff cavalry twill, pure wool hand-stitched. 6 buttons at the point of the knee where the garter straps would have fit beneath the 2nd and 3rd hole. The small stainless steel buckles that sit against the button on the 4th hole. The detail is just extraordinary.
Well, Bryony Lee, here's a competitor that's been here before. Bryony, how did you feel coming out here today on this horse that you've borrowed?
I felt great coming out here. this morning when I was getting ready and that. But unfortunately, we had a bit of a mistake. But everything else is beautiful. Yeah, no, I'm happy.
It's a lot of time and effort that goes into it. I've been speaking to people over the last couple of days getting ready for the Garryowen. A lot has to come together all at once, doesn't it? And as we know, when working with horses, sometimes that just doesn't happen.
Oh, 100%. You know, you can have something go wrong on the day and, yeah, you just have to deal with it.
But for you as a rider and for the Lee family, where you're synonymous with success in the show ring, being a part of an event like this, it makes sense to me, but it must be really wonderful for you, and I'm sure your mum and your family are very proud as well.
Yeah, no, it's great to be out here. Yeah, it's definitely great to be my second Garryowen and happy to be in many more.
Absolutely wonderful. Bryony Lee enjoying success here at Melbourne Royal Show and competing in this year's Garryowen.
Well, Lindsay Douglas, I think it's to great credit to our riders that they have come out after, of course, 2 years with so much inactivity. They haven't had exposure to many shows, haven't been able to get the miles under their belt, so to speak. So we give them great credit and delighted that we have such a good quality field of competitors this year competing in the Garryowen.
And a number of our competitors have had serious success over the last 5 days of competition here at the Horses in Action program. Some $80,000 in prize money and trophies involved in this great program. And you'll see horses out there today that have taken out championships already. But Garryowen Day is almost an entirely separate challenge in terms of the atmosphere, the prestige, the preparation. It's almost you're all starting with a blank canvas.
Absolutely it is. Now, our final competitor in the first heat of the Garryowen is, in fact, competitor 1486. And this is Georgie Kellock, and Georgie rides Christine Frost's Inc. Georgie commenced riding just in 2011, but since then she's had many beautiful horses and great success. Georgie was champion rider at Barrostock, at Adelaide Royal, Melbourne Royal, and the Show Horse Council Classic as well. She was champion lady rider 2 years in a row at the Melbourne Royal in 2017 and 18, which by her own description, she describes as a dream come true. Georgie has competed in the Garryowen previously on her own horse, Belcam Coraline, when she was placed 5th and 6th, and she's really excited to come back again. On this occasion, she rides Christine Frost Inc. Now, Inc is a thoroughbred horse known around the stables as Ockie. He's by the super racehorse and sire in Octagonal. He's been very successful in the show ring. He's shown from the Romsey Park team with Greg Micken and Terry Van Hytherson, and Christine Frost, his owner, also has ridden him to many successes, including large saddle hack at the Grand National, Supreme Lead exhibit at Barrostock Horse of the Year, and he's also won other state titles. And Georgie herself accredits her mum, her dad, and her partner Luke for getting her into the show ring and the success she has enjoyed. So our final competitor in the first heat only of our Garryowen, it is 1486, Georgie Kellock and Inc.
Our riding judge, you can see there, is none other than Catherine Neal, and no one more qualified for the role. Her most memorable achievement in the show ring was winning the prestigious Garryowen equestrian turnout in 2017 on SLN Mercedes. She's judged at Horse of the Year shows in New South Wales, South Australia, Western Australia and Queensland, and works all over the world as an international flight attendant. In fact, she recently flew back from LA in time for Melbourne Royal, and she's one of those great people that says behind every good rider there's a great show team, and we've got to celebrate those teams. Her career with riding began at a very early age, starting out at Pony Club, then showing as a junior, moving through the ranks from her ponies to hacks, and she became very passionate about showing thoroughbreds. Her family had previously been involved in the racing industry through owning and training and breeding of racehorses. So it's natural to her eye that she's just so attracted to a beautiful thoroughbred, and we're seeing so many great thoroughbreds out here today. She's been successful in lady rider classes at Canberra Royal and riding classes at Melbourne and Sydney as well as Barrostock Horse of the Year and Show Horse Council state titles. And her recent successes have been with her large hacks at royal and national level. And it is a great joy to have Catherine Neal with us here as our riding judge for the Garryowen equestrian turnout.
Well, Lindsay, as you can see, we have a heat of some 6 competitors. In fact, now 5, one having retired, but we have 3 heats which are going to be conducted here today. I can cast my mind back to many years ago when we even had more competitors, and the competitors used to have to come in and line up. And sometimes all of them would be lined up for, maybe 2 hours or even more. And as a consequence of that, it was considered a little unfair for those horses who'd been lined up for so long and then expected to go out and work smoothly and calmly and perform the workout. And so some years ago now, it was introduced that we would in fact have heats coming in. So we can have 6 or 7 or 8, whatever it might be, come in at the one time. And that was considered a fairer way to conduct the event. At the conclusion of this heat, of course, our second heat will come in, and it gives every competitor an equal opportunity. Now, Jeremy Roberts, you're down on the ground there, and I think you're about to speak with Georgie Kellogg.
I am Peter Hegney. Georgie Kellogg, you came out of that arena, you had this beaming smile on your face, the trusted steed in Occy. You seemed like you enjoyed yourself this morning, and you just said to me, I rode every stride of that.
I did, and I don't think like missing 3 Garryowens in a row helps with gear and everything, but it's great to be out here on this beautiful horse, and I feel very lucky.
The Romsey Park team obviously behind you with the horse in Occy. Your mum is a beautiful person. We see her at all of the shows. Today must have been a real joy for you getting ready and getting out here and being a part of this event.
It always is, and with Steph Barrington, who's in the next heat as well, like we've just got such a great community and everyone helps each other and it's such a good vibe. So very lucky to have everyone's support.
Well, Georgie Kellogg, we love having you here in the Garryowen in 2022. Congratulations. Congratulations, Peter and Lindsay, to all of our competitors in the first heat down here on the arena.
Well, there we have it. Heat 1, run and done. And we wouldn't be here without an extraordinary team of supporters and sponsors, Peter Hegney.
Well, absolutely. No show can run without supporters, and a big Garryowen certainly can't. And we're so appreciative of the wonderful sponsors we have for our Garryowen again this year. I refer, of course, to the Melbourne Royal Show itself, to Racing Victoria with their off-the-track program, to Sally Morrill-Rich. Thank you, Sally, very much indeed. To Marguerite Dorr, to our great friends at Wagner's Saddlery. Thank you, and Peter and Carolyn Wagner, for your support of our Garryowen. To Lynn Milburn with those magnificent garlands that Lynn produces.
Can I tell you a bit about that garland quickly, Peter?
You absolutely can.
150 fresh white roses, nothing artificial at all. Beautiful greenery, made throughout COVID, so a long time in the making. And the hacking cane that you'll see on it later is made specifically for the garland, and you'll see there's a little initial on the flat, V and G for Violet and Garryowen. Then you've got the hand-scribed cards that have all the previous winners' names in small saddles on the back of the hacking cane. And the saddles on the back have been made by Melissa Ridout from Rideout Equestrian. Then, as if that's not enough, then we have the beautiful antique amethyst tie bar from Jennifer Edwards. It's valued at $1,200. All beautifully prepared, and Sally Morrill-Rich, descendant of Violet Morrill, has provided the beautiful photograph of Violet and Garryowen for the plaque on the garland, designed by Lynn Milburn Garlands, as you say, with great support from her friends and her husband Glenn, the likes of Diane Warboys, who stewards here, Tian King, Melanie McLaughlin, Vicky Jones, and it is so worthy of this occasion.
Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful garland. And so much detail gone into there as well, as you mentioned, Lindsay. We're also very indebted to a number of other sponsors, and I refer to Cedar Lodge, to Michelle Bird Equine Art, to Mrs. S. Mitchell and Mrs. S. Draper, and of course to our friends at International Animal Health. Well, Lindsay and Jeremy, the winner of this prestigious class, our Garryowen, receives a number of trophies and prizes. One of them is a 9-carat gold diamond custom-made pin handcrafted by Melbourne Jewellery Service, valued at $2,300.
And that's supported by Sally Morrill-Rich, the grandniece of the late Violet Morrill. Then there's prize money, Peter.
Yes, there certainly is. $2,000 prize money supported by Marguerite Dorr Glass, the grandniece of the late Vale Murrell as well. There's also $1,000 in prize money that comes from Wagner's Saddlery. Aren't they great supporters of our Melbourne show?
Caroline and Peter, and they have been behind the scenes for innumerable competitors this year, getting everyone prepared and looking just so for this event.
There's also a portrait valued at $1,000, supported by Michelle Bird Equine Art. There is, of course, the perpetual trophy, the Garryowen trophy, that wonderful Melbourne Royal sash. There's a saddlecloth, supported by Racing Victoria Limited, the Garryowen garland, about which we've just spoken. There's the trophy rug, supported by Cedar Lodge Equine Products, and the product pack supported by International Animal Health. So, apart from the prestige of winning this wonderful event, quite frankly, Lindsay, they go home with quite a bit of loot, don't they? It's certainly well worth winning.
Absolutely. If the prestige were not enough, and it absolutely is, the support behind this event is rather extraordinary. And we will be recognising each of those individuals involved as supporters, some companies, some family estates, and individuals who just so love the history of this event and want to see it prosper for many, many generations into the future. They will all be with us in the presentation at the culmination of the third heat today.
Well, in actual fact, all our first six place getters, are very fortunate as they too go home with prizes. Even our second place getter will take home $500 prize money, supported by Wagner's Saddlery, the wonderful Melbourne Royal Show sash, the saddlecloth, supported by Racing Victoria Off the Track, and the trophy rug, supported by Cedar Lodge Equine Products. The third place getter will take home $250 prize money, again supported by Wagner's Saddlery. Also the Melbourne Royal Sash, again the saddlecloth from Racing Victoria, and the trophy rug supported by Cedar Lodge Equine Products.
Peter, for those who are not aware how the presentation runs, we do award first place through to sixth, but there's also two quite special awards. One is that we recognise our best placed first year competitor, and the second is a new award, the McKinnon Medal. Now, the name Marion McKinnon is synonymous with the Garryowen. This divine lady, historian, author, has captured the history in great detail of the Garryowen in a series of the most beautiful coffee table books, and we will be awarding this year a McKinnon Medal supported by Marion's family for the best performed competitor over 45 years of age. But Jeremy Roberts, you're down on the ground with a lady who is responsible for these great classes.
Absolutely. Melinda Ralph is here. She's on the Horses in Action Committee. Melinda, we all know you absolutely always look a picture, but for you being out here on Garryowen Day, how special is it? I mentioned earlier the vibe of being out here, the atmosphere, it is so special. People like you, beautiful people like you involved in this show. It is the most wonderful event.
I just love it, and I thank everybody for being a part of it. And I would really like to remind everyone, with the Garryowen community, we're all here for the one reason. And I just think that's the most beautiful thing, and I really appreciate that every single year that everyone comes for everybody else.
It's a really special award, isn't it? The story of Vale Murrell, and to see the camaraderie, to see those beautiful ladies out here enjoying themselves, being a part of the event, just wanting to get out here, put on a great show, and be steeped in history. It's be part of the history. Isn't it absolutely wonderful?
I just love it, and I also love, like, we see what we're seeing on ground now, but it's behind the scenes. It's the teams in the stable block, it's the committee, it's the talk of the town. Everyone that is involved, someone has a link to Garryowen, and it's just brilliant. I love it.
Isn't it wonderful as well when people start talking about, what about this person, what about that person? It really sort of brings to the fore the wonderful community we're involved in, and all the, those beautiful riders that are great as a rider, or those beautiful horses, and to see it all come together, and to see the emotion, to see everybody really stepping out onto this arena. And as you say, the teams behind them, it really is something special that we never see anywhere else in the country.
We don't, and we have this link forever. You see a Garryowen competitor or a past judge, and they still talk about their stories. It still makes people cry. People get very emotional, me included. And I just don't know any other event at any Royal in any other state that has this heart, and that's what this event has.
It's absolutely beautiful. Melinda Ralph, you've got plenty to do. I'm going to let you go, but you look absolutely glamorous, as you do every time that we see you. But over to you, Peter and Lindsay.
Well, we are settling in now for the next of our heats, but it's a nice opportunity for me to introduce you to our saddlery judge, and that is none other than Cynthia Doherty. And horses have played an enormous role in Cynthia's life. Having commenced riding as a child, she is still involved today through her granddaughters, has been judging for over 40 years, different disciplines from your open hacks to your ponies, light harness, even dressage for combined harness competition, and has judged at royal shows including Perth Royal, Sydney Royal, the Melbourne Summer Royal Show, Hobart, and the National Combined Harness Championships. And as a competitor, has had great success too. Competed in USA in the World Pairs Carriage Driving Championships as part of the Australian team at Gladstone Park. Has competed here at Melbourne Royal for many, many years in open Galloway classes, light and heavy harness and pinto breed classes. Has owned a successful pinto stud and produced many champion pintos across several disciplines with great success, and is also a very talented lady indeed when it came to the Australian Combined Driving Championships. So we welcome Cynthia Doherty here for the saddlery section of the Garryowen Equestrian Turnout.
Well, the second heat of competitors are making their way out. These ladies look very focused. Peter and Lindsay, I can tell you these horses look absolutely beautiful. It is such a special occasion. I can feel the vibe down here, the aura of these riders. It is so special to be down here, and I tell you what, as I said, they look absolutely beautiful and very exciting to have our second heat of horses out here on the arena.
Well, Jeremy, I can see our riders in our second heat just confirming, checking on the workout that they have been given. It is, of course, a set workout designed by the Show Society. All riders ride the same workout, and I can just see there our riders drawing in the air the workout that they're about to ride. But in the meantime, we're ready now for our first horse of our second heat to compete, and this is competitor 192. This is Givenchy and Stephanie Barrington. A horse owned by Sue Thompson. Stephanie, no stranger, of course, to the Garryowen or, in fact, to Melbourne Royal Show. Stephanie, like so many of our riders, commenced riding very early at the age of 5 when she bought a pony out of the trading post, and it came with rug and with saddle for $700. Her mother grew up riding in Bonnie Doon, and she rode to and from pony clubs. She also rode track work and race day work in Mornington. So it was logical that Steph's interest in horses should follow. Her cousins were show jumpers, but she decided she didn't like the show jumping scene, so show ponies were much more her caper. And she enjoyed some of the ponies she rode, also scooting across country courses at Pony Club. In fact, she said, remembers only too well that one day she fell off 5 times in one day. Now, Steph on this occasion rides Sue Thompson's wonderful horse in Givenchy, a horse who has enjoyed great success. He's known as Dex around the stable. He's by that wonderful sire in Lonhro. He's out of an Irish-bred mare. On the racetrack, he was trained by Michael Kent Sr. at Cranbourne. He had 24 starts, of which he won 2, was placed second 7 times and twice third. He won $151,000 in prize money, but it didn't quite match his $245,000 price that was achieved at the yearling sales. He finished racing in 2018 and he began his show career in September 2019. And as a show horse, he's been highly successful. He's had multiple Horse of the Year wins in Victoria. He's been a wonderful Royal Show winner as well. And in fact, this year won the prestigious Colonel A.V. Pope Cup at the Sydney Royal Show. Was also placed third in the Pope Cup here at the Melbourne Royal. As I mentioned, he's owned by Sue Thompson herself, who has been a Garryowen participant several times before and has been placed twice in recent years. So our first competitor is now having the costume and saddlery judged. It is competitor 192, Givenchy, owned by Sue Thompson, but ridden by Stephanie Barrington from Richmond.
You can see Penny Verco there, our judge, getting right down on the ground to inspect the boots. And the boots are black in the finest of calf leather for each of our competitors, boned. The garter straps are threaded through the loops at the back and into the sides of the boots, both stitched. And the garter straps serve no purpose in modern times, of course, but it's still part of the costume as it used to be used to keep thigh-high leather boots up over the knee, and in warm weather the boots would be turned down again back in the 16th and 17th century. And it's a really beautiful tradition here. The spurs that you'll see out there are stainless steel, matching the garter straps and in line with the other buckles on the rest of the costume with the spurs down. The gardenias you'll see on each of our competitors are on the right lapel as a mark of respect for the late Violet Murrell. And this is the only part of the outfit that competitors are not in control of. They'll be wearing very little makeup, no jewellery, no perfume, because in the hunt, perfume would have interfered with the scent of the hounds. The helmet is perhaps the only thing on the costume that has really changed since the beginning of the event 88 years ago. Competitors once upon a time, and you'll see in the beautiful old footage that we have and in Marion McKinnon's books, they would wear a bowler attached by a lanyard to the collar of the coat, but due to safety reasons, competitors now wear a black helmet with a buff leather harness to keep it on. Traditionally out in the hunt field, the ribbons on the back of the helmet were sewn up and only masters and professional staff would wear them down. And now in the show ring, we do wear them down. Just so much tradition here in everything. The cane that you see each of our riders have is in a plain leather. It's the same colour as their bridle and their saddle. And it's measured, as you just saw Penny Verco there a moment ago, measured from the fingertips to the elbow.
Well, Lindsay, our first competitor in the second heat, Stephanie Barrington and Givenchy, have had their saddlery and their costume judged. And when we asked Stephanie who she accredited getting her here into the ring today, she gave great credit to her parents, Jan and Andrew Barrington, to her fiancé, Hamish McDonald, and a big welcome to Bill and Jan McDonald, who've flown over from Wellington to be in the stands today and support Stephanie. But of course, Stephanie also gave great credit to Sue Thompson, who owns Givenchy, and also to the Romsey Park team of Greg Micken and Terry Van Hytherson, who have prepared the horse for Steph to ride. So our first horse to complete the workout in the second heat will be Givenchy and Stephanie Barrington. In the meantime, having their saddlery and costume judged, it is competitor 843. This is Fiona McIntyre and Precedence.
We talk about the family heritage of this event and sisters and aunts and nieces, mothers, mothers-in-laws and daughters that have competed. And Fiona McIntyre's does have great family heritage here with Kay Bogle before her having campaigned in the Garryowen.
Absolutely. There is much family interest, as you say, in the Garryowen itself, where many daughters, granddaughters of original competitors in the Garryowen have competed. And you mentioned Fiona's mother, Kay Bogle, was a successful competitor here at Melbourne Royal Show for many, many years. So there are really strong family tradition rings with Melbourne Royal. Fiona comes from Inverleigh. On this occasion, she rides that super racehorse Precedence. What a wonderful racehorse he was. He raced at the highest level here in Victoria. He raced in 4 Melbourne Cups. Precedent. He's by the great New Zealand sire Zabeel, and he was trained by that legendary trainer in Bart Cummings. He's now competing in his 3rd Garryowen, and Fiona accredits her partner Jonathan Lumsden for getting her in the ring today. She says without him, she couldn't possibly have made it. Although, by Fiona's own admission, she said the Garryowen diet is getting harder and harder as she gets older. But Fiona, stay with us. I don't think you need worry at all. It's wonderful to have you competing here, and particular a horse so well known on the racetrack as Precedence. She will be our second competitor in the second heat. It will be competitor 843, Fiona McIntyre, and Precedence.
Well, thanks to all of you.
So it looks like, yes, here we are. We don't have the live stream only commentary right now. I can tell you, ladies and gents, down here, people have come out to enjoy this wonderful spectacle. Family and friends are here on the sidelines. These riders, they're not only riding for themselves, they're riding for their teams. They're riding for all of their support crew that are behind them. Stephanie Barrington's mother, Jan, I saw them walk out here. I saw the Romsey Park team walk out here. I'm going to talk to Steph shortly about her mum's involvement, because I can tell you Jan is just as competitive as Steph is, and they'll be absolutely excited to have Steph out there today. The Romsey Park team will have done a lot of work behind the scenes, and Steph Barrington is out here 11 years since she last won here at in the Garryowen, and I know that they'll be putting an absolute 110% effort. So Steph, the first of them out in the second heat here, we'll find out shortly how she goes in her workout, but absolutely beautiful to have Steph joining us out here. And as I said earlier, the mood out here is absolutely wonderful, and these riders are really enjoying being out here and being part of the tradition.
The lovely Penny Verco, who's been judging our costume section, is no stranger at all to the world of Garryowen. Was very successful, winning here in 2003 on the Mighty Inferno, a horse she calls Lucy, and had some other great achievements too, the likes of Victorian Rider of the Year, Victorian Hack of the Year, taking out Hack and Rider and Turnout winners at Royal Adelaide, Sydney Royal, Canberra and Melbourne. And Penny grew up loving horses from the age of 9 in the Adelaide Hills, was the happiest little owner of her first horse at 12 years of age, and has loved horses and showing ever since. She's now started breeding her own horses on the Mornington Peninsula, where she's also the owner of a real estate business called Homes and Acreage, and she's happily engaged, due to be married next month. And it is a great joy to have the ever stylish and talented Penny Verco here as our costume judge for the Garryowen Equestrian Turnout.
Now, Belker. So Belker is joining us here on the live stream. We're not going to the arena here, but Belker, I just said to you, how are you feeling? You're an interstater coming here to compete in the Garryowen in your first year. How have you felt this morning, and how do you feel going out into your workout?
I'm a little bit nervous because it's my first time doing the Garryowen, but I'm super excited because I've been preparing for this for 3 years, and finally have found the correct horse to do it on that I think will look after me and give me a good ride out there, so I'm looking forward to it.
You must be pretty confident to a degree. You came out earlier in the week, you won that beautiful Grand Parade trophy. You ended up reserve champion Galloway yesterday. That's probably got to set you up for a good day today.
Yeah, definitely is helping a bit. And yeah, good little booster before going out today, definitely.
Well, Belko, great to have you here.
So riding the workout now is the first competitor in our second heat, Givenchy and Stephanie Barrington. Warming up and preparing for their workout is competitor 843 Precedence and Fiona McIntyre. Being assessed and judged for clothing and costume is competitor 781. This is Alexa Ward from Gruyere here in Victoria. Now, Alexa, too, has been riding since she was a little girl. Both her parents rode. In fact, her father, Howard, was a very successful show jumping rider, still rides show jumpers, and he has been involved in producing some top show horses. Now, as a combination, this is Alexa and EBL Empower's third Royal Show, Melbourne Royal Show together. They've previously had success at Sydney Royal Show, and even here at the Melbourne Royal this year, they've already enjoyed success. As I mentioned, Alexa's been competing at Melbourne Show for many years, and she's had considerable success in both hack, rider and turnout classes. She competed in the Garryowen a number of times and has also been placed a few times. Now, Alexa rides a horse she purchased from Andrew Buckley as a 3-year-old. He's by the very successful show hunter W. Ellington, and Alexa says he's a fabulous horse to own with a great personality. Loves to be around people, and he'll try anything you're eating. Wow, from bananas to champagne. Well, some horse. Well, as I mentioned, both Alexa's mother and father are great supporters, Howard and Penny, and they've really helped considerably to get, of course, Alexa into the ring today. As I mentioned, Howard himself, very successful show jumping rider, and has also been involved in producing some wonderful top show horses as well. So, now, warming up before they go into the arena for their workout, it will be competitor 781, Alexa Ward and EBL Empower. In the ring at the moment is competitor 843, it's Precedence and Fiona McIntyre.
Well, Peter Hegney, we have Stephanie Barrington down here. Stephanie Barrington, 11 years since you have been here winning the Garryowen. I just said you look pretty on song today. The team over there look pretty happy. And I tell you what, Jan Barrington, she is as focused as you, I think. It must be a wonderful time out there. Georgie Kellock mentioned to me earlier that the team spirit down there at the stables has been wonderful. You have been here before, Steph, but it must still be special every time you step into the arena for the Garryowen.
It certainly is, and I don't think it gets any less stressful. It maybe means more and more every time we come out here. It's definitely a team effort, as you mentioned, Mum, but also my family, my fiance, his family. Everyone's here supporting, and I'm just so proud. Dex was amazing. It was his first time in a turnout, and I couldn't have asked for any more.
Steph, to get all of the gear, to get everything ready, takes a long time, doesn't it? A lot of people involved. Do you feel the pressure when you get out there into the arena of everybody riding with you?
Yeah, you certainly do. I mean, it is, as I said, it's a team effort, and I'm out here not just for me, but for every single person along the way that has been a part of our journey. It's actually really emotional, and I think, words really can't describe it. I think riding for Violet Murrell, it's the love she had for her horses, and I think that really shines out here.
Absolutely. Wonderful words there, Stephanie Barrington, our first of our competitors in Heat 2. Back over to you, Peter and Lindsay.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. Being judged now for costume and saddlery is competitor 1914 from South Australia. A big welcome to Isabel Kerr. Now, Isabel started riding when she was a 7-year-old, when her father bought her a first pony from Laura Thomas here in Victoria. He was a 7-year-old Pinto, and Isabel says he was a wonderful pony. At the time, her father was the owner of Goldner's Horse Transport, so there were always horses around Isabel. She's had a great success in the show ring, and some of her recent highlights include National Galloway of the Year in 2020-21, riding MacArthur Park Star Soprano, who she rides here today, champion Galloway at the Adelaide Royal Show in 2018. He was owner-rider grand champion at the Southern Stars, and that, in fact, gave her a trip to the United Kingdom. And here at the Melbourne Royal this year, the horse she rides, MacArthur Park Star Soprano, was a winner of the Grand Parade Champion. It's Isabel's second time riding at the Melbourne Royal, but she says the Garryowen is always an event that she dreamt to ride in. She was prepared to start the 2019 event. She had all the gear, everything was ready, but unfortunately Isabel didn't feel well that day, and as a consequence didn't start. But she feels now, 3 years later, she's ready and well prepared to compete in the Garryowen. I'm sure she is. Although they have no family members associated with the Garryowen, she grew up under the guidance of Vicky Laurie, of course, our 6-time winner of the Garryowen, and Vicky has been a great influence in Isabel's riding career. She also appreciates the support she's received from Margot Haynes and David Quayle in helping produce Lucifer, as he's called the horse she's riding in the Garryowen today. So that will be our next competitor in the ring. It is competitor 1914, Isabel Kerr, riding MacArthur Park Star Soprano. In the meantime, we're watching completing their workout, competitors 781, EBL Empower and Alexa Ward.
It was so interesting chatting to Belle Kerr the other day and about the horse they call Lucifer. And I said, it just really doesn't suit him, this stable name. And she said, no, we've kind of just call him Luke now because Lucifer is not really befitting the lovely horse she's on. Wasn't it lovely to hear Stephanie Barrington get emotional then about the honour of riding in the memory of Violet Murrell? What a woman. And we spoke the other night at the champagne dinner, or the champagne evening for Garryowen, where we draw the riders and we have our Hall of Fame inductions for a horse, a rider and an individual who's provided exceptional service to the event. And we sort of discussed that there is much publicity given to the tragedy of the end. Garryowen, of course, and Violet and the blazing inferno that brought about their demise and those of her husband and the other horses in the stable. But I'd suggest there's not really enough time spent celebrating what a truly groundbreaking and admired young woman Violet Murrell was prior to that event that is so well publicised. It was the 1920s and Violet was breaking all sorts of social conventions in the very best way. She was an extraordinary horsewoman at a time when horsewomen didn't have the freedoms they enjoy today. She was a seriously famous equestrian, Australia-wide, not just here in Victoria.
Well, Fiona McIntyre, it is absolutely fabulous to have you in the Garryowen. We were just chatting, Peter and Lindsay, and I said, Fiona, how many times have you been competing in this prestigious class that is the Garryowen? She said, I don't know. She's told me her age. I'm not going to reveal that, but she thinks it might be up there near 20 times. That is absolutely phenomenal. And Fiona McIntyre, it must feel special for you, though, coming out into a class. You might have been here a few times, but I'm sure every day that you step in here for a Garryowen, it is really special.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeremy. I love the Garryowen, the tradition associated with it. Violet Murrell, she was just an amazing rider. And obviously Garryowen, the thoroughbred. And as you know, I love a thoroughbred. And I just really enjoy being part of the event and part of the day.
Talking about a thoroughbred that you love, this wonderful horse that had a great career on the track. You're a wonderful advocate for off-the-track horses. People that might not know much about showing, they see a horse like this that had a wonderful career and they get to see them here in the show ring. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's fantastic to be able to showcase the thoroughbred, and not only the slow ones that, you know, haven't had a great career, but horses that have raced at the top level can also go on to have a fantastic career post-racing. It's great to be able to showcase that.
Well, you are doing that this year, and you do that every time you step into the ring with one of these beautiful thoroughbreds. Fiona McIntyre and Precedence.
Thank you, Jeremy. In the meantime, down there in the arena at the moment, we're watching competitor 1914, and it is MacArthur Park Star Soprano and Isabel Kerr. I find it interesting that a number of people who are riding in it this year have had an association with people who have competed previously. And in this case, in Isabel Kerr's case, she accredits people like Rebecca Farrow for being so influential. Daryl Hayes has helped her, a very successful competitor. Vicky Laurie and Margot Haynes and Sandra Haynes have all contributed to Isabel being in the ring this year.
It is a support team absolutely required for this event. And can I introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to our mount judge, Manners and Paces, being officiated by Carol Hassel. Now, if you're on the grounds here, you'll notice Carol is the lady wearing lovely pastel colours at the far end of the arena. And she commenced show riding at a very young age. What started out as just a child and her pony and culminated in a lifetime of horse ownership and competition. They've had many successes over the years, Carol and her many mounts. The Royal Show wins, the Horse of the Year wins, with hack classes and championships at a national level, and at Barristock Horse of the Year as well. And subsequently, Carol has been asked to judge all over Australia with the Western Australian Horse of the Year, same as in South Australia, New South Wales Horse of the Year, Melbourne Royal Show and Barristock. More recently, back in 2008, she established a great equine training facility at Cannons Creek here in Victoria, known as Shadowbrook, They did equine pre-training and rehabilitation, and that venture proved to be very successful with a great client base of prominent racehorse trainers and owners of dressage and show jumpers, eventers and show horses. And subsequently, Carol also became involved in the world of breeding thoroughbreds as a commercial venture. Only recently, they sold the farm to downsize and relocated to the beautiful green pastures of West Gippsland. And now she concentrates on breeding commercial stock for their current band of brood mares operating under the banner of Shadowbrook Bloodstock. And the progeny of those mares are being sold as weanlings or yearlings at major thoroughbred sales throughout Australia today.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next horse to commence the workout will be competitor 273. This is Terrakella Vision and Sky Reinitz, and this combination come from Blampede, just north of Victoria near Dalesford. Now, Sky has an interesting background. Although she had her first pony as a 2-year-old, she didn't actually start competing until she was 18 years of age. Prior to that, she had dressage lessons, she did trail riding, and one day she dreamt of riding in the Garryowen. Well, here she is. She's riding in it today. It is Sky Reinitz from Blampede in Victoria, and she rides Terrakella Vision. But Sky has an interesting background in the sense that apart from being involved in the Horses in Action competition, she was involved with the Young Farmer Challenge as well, and is in fact state president of the Victorian Young Farmers. So really interesting. Sky says she's blessed to be the owner, rider and breeder and trainer of the horse she's riding here. He lives alone on a potato farm surrounded by rolling hills. Beautiful crops and sheep are his only friends. So it's sort of a bit sad. He's a little bit lonely, but obviously he's got an owner who loves him so much. The winners of the Victorian Show Horse Council Intermediate Show Hunter Hack of the Year in 2018. It is competitor 273. It is Terrakella Vision and Sky Reinitz.
Well, we're down here on the live stream, and I have Rebecca Farrow, a previous competitor, a previous multiple winner of the Garryowen. Rebecca, it's great to have you here, and I want to talk to our live stream audience about a few little things in the Garryowen here. I love that you come to watch. You have retired from the event, but it still holds a very special place in your heart.
It holds a very special place in my heart, Jeremy, and it's fabulous to be here watching today. I have joked with a couple of people that maybe I'll be John Farnham next year on the comeback tour, but yeah, it's a wonderful event, and the girls are very lucky today with the weather.
You've been here multiple times. I keep talking to these girls. The ones that are here for the first time, it's very overawing, isn't it? It's quite a daunting experience. If you've been here a couple of times, you kind of know what to expect, but what is the feeling when you step out here into this Garryowen?
Garryowen morning and even Garryowen eve, it's got a very different energy about it. I think what a lot of the young riders or the new first-timers will notice is it's an event you really need to be prepared for. Your gear and your saddlery and your clothing really needs to be well thought out prior to the morning, and that really helps with the mental stress of it all.
It is sort of a lot to wear, isn't it? I mentioned to Steph Barrington, she's got a team behind her with the horse. Her mum's very involved. When the girls get out here to ride, they're not just riding for themselves, are they? There's a whole team, and there must be a bit of pressure in that.
I think a lot of girls feel the pressure, actually, and I think that's almost the hard part because they're riding feeling like they've got an obligation to ride for the team. I mean, for me, for many years, it was just my mum and myself, and that was always my preference. I'd just rather less is more, and then you know what you're doing and who's doing what, because it was just the two of us.
Beck, when you get out here on Garryowen morning, you probably look around, you cast your eye over these riders. You're so meticulous in your detail. You know this Garryowen turnout inside out. You've spent years perfecting it. Some of the little things that you see out here, where are some of the areas when you're just casting your eye over these riders where there sort of might be that little bit here and there that could potentially make or break them? At the end of the day, it comes down to every little detail, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, and it can often be a point between first and third. So every point does count. The detail that I really notice is often in the clothing when I walk past. There's a lot of faults in the clothing, and that's why people need to be really well planned and plan well in advance. It's no point deciding 3 months out, I'm going to go and get my Garryowen clothes, particularly
well, that completes the
lengths of
workout
boots and
for
how many
competitor
buttons are showing.
273. Terracotta Vision and Sky Rhinettes. Now, Terracotta Vision will now be assessed by Dr. Mike Tweedy down there. The final part of the whole Garryowen picture for that competitor, as we know, and has been described to you so articulately by Lindsay Douglas. They're assessed for their saddlery, for their costume, for their conformation and soundness, for their riding ability, for their general appearance, and of course their workout. Now, our final competitor in the second of our heats will be competitor 1901. This is Ebony Lee, and Ebony rides Winara Signature. Now, Ebony, of course, from the very well-known Lee family at Whittlesea. She has, by her own admission, virtually grown up on a horse's back. She's had great success in the show ring. She's been a winner at Grand Nationals, at Nationals, Royal Show Champions. This year she was awarded Champion Lady Rider at the Royal Canberra Show and also Barrostock Horse of the Year. Now, Ebony has been competing at Melbourne Royal since she was just 3 years old. She was very lucky to have a lot of great success here at the Melbourne Royal. She won the Pony Turnout when she was 11. She went on to winning the Pemberton Turnout, which we conducted here earlier this morning, twice. She won the KG Luke Turnout twice as well. She's been successful in her rider class here, winning 6 of my rider classes over the years and 4 champions with 2 reserves. So you can see a very successful rider here at the Melbourne Royal. She competed, this is her first year, should I say, competing in the Garryowen, but again, with her family background and her sisters and family around her, her older sister Cherie having competed here in the Garryowen for many years, I'm sure she has a great support team behind her. It is our final competitor in Heat 2. It is Ebony Lee and Winara Signature.
Well, those on the live stream are enjoying Mr. Jeremy Roberts interviewing the brilliant Rebecca Farrow, and we hope you are enjoying that great live stream.
Yeah, that's right. I'm right here with Rebecca Farrow on the live stream. Now, Beck, we're going to let you go in just a few moments, hopefully catch up with you during as the scores are being tallied. But we're talking about the pressure and all of that sort of thing. Talk to me about when the rider comes in, they have to immediately dismount and then they're judged for their saddlery and their costume. Talk to us about that moment. It's not something that often happens in the ring. So what is the feeling there?
It's a very tricky moment for a lot of horse and riders, and I think it's actually harder for the horse than the rider. You come out here and you know you're actually going to dismount your horse and have time out of the saddle. For your horse, it's the only time you will ever compete and get off your horse on the main arena, have a stranger hold them. And I think for a lot of horses that can be disconcerting, like where's my jockey? Then you've got to get back on, you've got a couple of minutes to reconnect, warm up and go, and that can be quite tricky.
Beck, what's it like when you get out here, you've done your workout, you've done all of the work, the months of preparation, and your name gets called out to win? What is that emotion like?
Oh, wow. It's the best feeling ever. It's very overwhelming in a positive way. It was a huge sigh of relief for me in my last win because it took me 16 years to get my second win. It's actually 20 years this year since my first win. It's an incredible feeling, and particularly years ago, there were sort of 10 riders that could have won. So you really don't know until the final moment who's actually got it in the bag.
Absolutely fabulous to have you here, Rebecca Farrow, previous competitor, previous winner, multiple winner of this fabulous event that is the Garryowen. Beck, I'll catch up with you a little bit later. I'm going to go and chat to some of our competitors, but it is wonderful to have the insight of somebody such as Rebecca Farrow, the expertise, the experience that she has. I've been chatting to her over the last couple of days, talking about this wonderful event, and there's so much that goes into it. There's so much effort. The attention to detail is absolutely impeccable. So a person such as Rebecca, it's wonderful to have her here.
Well, Mr. Jeremy Roberts down on the ground with another of our competitors who has completed their Garryowen campaign.
Alexa Ward, you came out here with a smile. You came back here with a smile. I think you're loving being part of this year's event.
Yeah, absolutely. This is my first turnout back for a little while, so very excited to be out here. Yeah, really happy.
We continually talk about there being a team behind you. It's not just you. It wouldn't happen if it's just one person. There's so much to do. Who have you got to thank?
Big thank you to Mum and Dad, especially Dad. He makes everything work. And lots of other people this morning. Kristen and Lynn White and Howard Morris as well. So it's been a big morning.
What's the emotion like when you come out into an event like this? We see you in the show ring regularly, but to come out to something such as this, the very prestigious award, what is that emotion like?
I think, it's such an honour to compete in such a prestigious event. So I think there's a lot of nerves that probably aren't usually there, but then it's just excitement, I guess. Once you get in the ring, you just get going.
Well, wonderful to have you here. There we are, Alexa Ward, one of our wonderful competitors here in Heat 2.
And Jeremy Roberts, just out of interest, of course, Alexa's father has been involved with the production of previous Garryowen winners, himself a very successful show jumping rider, but also has been involved previously with previous Garryowen winners.
Well, we just saw our final competitor there for Heat 2, examined by Michael Tweedy for confirmation and soundness. And for those not as part of the horse world, let me give you a little description of what Michael Tweedy is looking for. So soundness is the phrase that relates to the way the horse travels across the ground in good rhythm. So he will have been very keenly watching their workout, and if their rhythm is uneven, the horse is deemed somewhat unsound. And then for confirmation, he's looking at the horse's straightness and the cleanliness of legs, the body proportions, the well-set neck and attractive head, short coupled back and strong hind, nice sloping shoulders and a good saddle position. And really, he is probably judging from the ground up, looking at the overall quality of the horse. And as a vet, there is no one better placed to make that adjudication.
Lindsay, we're very lucky, aren't we, to have such an accomplished panel of judges here at our show this year. We have right throughout the preceding 4 days or 5 days of the show, but certainly today in the Garryowen, we are, as I say, very fortunate to have people with the knowledge, experience, know-how to make their assessments and give their scores, which of course is judged on a scoring system. Now, if you are unaware, I'll just run through that scoring system again for you. For the confirmation and soundness, our judge has 50 points to allocate. So he or she can award up to 50 points. For manners and paces, there are 40 points allocated. For the riding ability, which is so important, there are 50 points available. The general appearance judge can award up to 20 points. The costume judge also up to 20 points, and similarly, a saddlery judge can award up to 20 points. A total of 200 points are available for scoring, and each judge will allocate their point score within the range I've just given you. Well, it won't be very long before we have our third and final heat in. And again, I must make comment about how good it is to see the support our show, and in particular, our Garryowen, is being given after the 2 years hiatus of COVID. Needless to say, many horses and competitors were perhaps a little ring rusty, and they haven't been able to get to the Garryowen this year. But having said that, it's wonderful that we have such a top-class field of competitors, and competitors, I can assure you, from the Melbourne Royal Show, they appreciate the support that you've given the Garryowen this year.
Well, Jeremy Roberts, you're on the ground with a member of the board here of Melbourne Royal Show, Mr. Jason Ronald, OAM.
I am Lindsay Douglas. And Jason Ronald, you look absolutely wonderful today. The Gardenia, you're looking very dressed up for this wonderful event that you have been involved with for over 40 years. That is absolutely phenomenal. Every time the class of riders step out here, it really is special, isn't it? And what's it like to be out here in 2022?
Well, it's great to have it back at the Showgrounds. I mean, after 2 years of no Melbourne Royal Show, it's marvellous to have the support of the public and the members and the exhibitors to be back here at the Showgrounds, and long may it be so.
Absolutely. The Garryowen Trophy is steeped in history. We see every year these beautiful riders that come out here, again in 2022. Is that something really proud for you as a person involved in Melbourne Royal Show, that the event like this, it just every year just gets better and better?
Well, it seems to, and probably beautiful horses that they're on as well as the riders. And it's great to have them here, and we want to encourage that to continue into the future. There's a number of competitors this year that are doing it for the first year, and we welcome them and encourage others to come back. The Garryowen is steeped in tradition. This is the 88th year since it started, the top equestrian event in the country, and long may it be so, and we'll be doing everything we can to encourage participation in the future, and we'll look to what other ways we can encourage more young people.
Absolutely wonderful. Jason Ronald, great to have you here. And as you said, Lindsay, a member of the board of director here of Melbourne Royal Show. A wonderful job that the team do, a wonderful job the Horses in Action Committee do. And this event, it really is something special as we welcome the third heat of our horses out here onto the main arena for this very prestigious award that is the Garryowen.
Well, the next heat has made their way into the arena, and we are getting to the business end of the competition now. Can we acknowledge our wonderful redcoats here, the very prestigious and historic role that they play in running the show to a royal standard? They are all exquisite horsemen and women in their own right, with long histories here at Melbourne Royal. And their lovely quiet steeds ensure that the competition horses are comfortable out here as well. It's a nice opportunity to introduce you to our general presentation judge, the lovely Diane Melrose, who has been judging here for several days now and has been riding since the age of 7, involved in the world of showing horses all the way back then. And in the beginning, it was a family affair with her parents, Jim and Beth Melrose, and her 3 sisters. They'd show in the open rings all the way through to the classes like the horse with the longest tail at their local gymkhanas and horse shows. And they quickly moved through the ranks, qualifying for Sydney Royal, Royal Adelaide, Melbourne Royal, and brought home multiple wins and broad sashes, placings, and champion Galloway sashels. And moved on to their hacks, had great success there too, even with Shetland ponies, and would compete all over Australia, from the Ekka up in Queensland down to Hobart Royal over the sea. And they imported one of the first riding pony stallions here to Australia, Heathrow's Henry, back in the 70s, and then several more riding ponies in the early 80s. And this gorgeous lady, Diane Melrose, has piloted the likes of Champagne Quarista to countless agricultural champions, and the likes of Rubens, Warrenwood Monarch, Masquerade, Grand Cheval, or Bill to his friends, and more recently has produced plenty of off-the-track and off-the-stud horses for her dad, herself, and both of her girls, Tori and Candy. As I said, they've produced everything from great Shetlands to miniature turnouts to ponies, Galloways, big hacks, show hunters, newcomers, and side saddle as well. And she has a particular passion for side saddle and thinks that her late, the Majesty of the Queen, would have really had something in common with Diane, with their love of the art of side saddle. I'll tell you an interesting fact, also won the Victorian State Fruitcake Competition. So multi-talented indeed, our Diane Melrose, in charge of general presentation here at the Garryowen Equestrian Turnout.
Well, Lindsay, we're ready now, and in fact, judging our first competitor in Heat 3. This is competitor 1019. It's Bel Air Cartier, and our rider is Jemima Draper. Now, Jemima comes from Kyabram. She's 30 years of age, comes from Kyabram, Victoria. She started riding when she was 10 years old, and again, like so many of our riders, participated in showing and show jumping and eventing and dressage and hunting as well. And in fact, Jemima says her mother secretly was really excited when Jemima actually got a pony, and it's all progressed from there. Now, I was fortunate that Dad was very prepared to finance the whole operation, and Jemima's greatly appreciative of that. Jemima's fiance is, in fact, the very successful jumping rider, Tommy Ryan, and they have a racehorse spelling business up near in Kyabram. They produce a few yearlings for the sale each year, and Jemima is particularly keen on the thoroughbred horses. She still has time for showing, and in fact, she has a young off-the-track horse that she's going to be competing on soon under saddle. The horse she rides, Bel Air Cartier, have competed together only once before. They were supreme horse at the Ringwood show, but over the years, Jemima's had some very successful horses. She's had successes at Royals, Horse of the Years with ponies and Galloways and hacks. She had champion Hunter Hack at Melbourne at the Summer Royal Show, champion rider at the Victorian Horse of the Year show, and in fact has been placed in the Garryowen on 3 previous occasions. She first rode at the Melbourne Royal when she was just 10 years old, and she's been competing ever since. It's actually her 9th time competing in the Garryowen. She's competed on 6 different horses, and as I mentioned, placed on 3 occasions. She rides the Warm Blood mare, produced by Clint Bilson in Bel Air Cartier, and this horse has competed in dressage and showing, but this is Bel Air Cartier's first royal show. At the show this year, she has won her novice hack and also won the gentleman's hack. So that's our first competitor, 1019 Bel Air Cartier.
Well, sorry, Jeremy Roberts, I can see on the ground there with 2 of our Hall of Famers, 4-time winners, Helen Hegney and Caroline Wagner.
Yes, that's right. We are here with 2 wonderful competitors that have been here. Between all 3 of us, Lindsay, we've won 8 times, believe it or not. Caroline Wagner, a wonderful event steeped in history. You've been here before. The feeling of being out here to watch this class, it's special?
Yes, it's lovely to be able to come out on the grounds and watch the class. I enjoy helping the girls get ready beforehand. It's nice to finally have everyone done and be able to come out and watch the last few competitors.
Helen Hegney, your horse Arkin has been inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2022. That's really special for you. Congratulations. This event for you must bring back memories as well.
Yes, you can't. Every time you come here, and you can't help but get caught up in the atmosphere of it all. Yeah.
Talk to us about your experience of what it was like to win back then. I can't remember the years that you won in, but 4 times is a lot to remember. But it must be really special for you. And still, to see these young riders, these young ladies come out here, they all do a wonderful job and all in the spirit of Violet Murrell.
Yes, well, I was a South Australian when I first came and won it, and we were rather fascinated by this event that everyone used to get rather wound up about here in Victoria. But after a while, you do get wound up about it too when you've competed a few times, yeah.
Well, ladies, wonderful to have you here. Enjoy the spectacle that is the Garryowen. Congratulations on your wonderful results here in this fabulous class, and please enjoy the Garryowen.
Well, I'm up here with Peter Hegney, of course, the other half of the wonderful Helen Hegney. And Peter, we talk about the team behind the scenes with each of our riders. There was a literal team riding with Helen in 2 of the 4 occasions.
Well, there was actually, Lindsay, you're quite right. On 2 occasions, Helen was in fact pregnant and had 2 sons during that time. So we tell our boys they're probably the only boys ever to have won a Garryowen.
Isn't it great, the history and the family linkage around the grounds here? I mean, 6-time winner Victoria Laurie is on the grounds, our 3-time winner Shay Hanger. Oh, didn't we have a great time meeting 2-time winner Ray Curcio the other night at the Garryowen Champagne evening. 2-time winner Margot Haynes has had a wow of a show, and we've been listening to 2-time winner Rebecca Farrows on the live stream chatting with Jeremy Roberts earlier on.
Well, completing their workout now is competitor 1019. It's Jemima Draper and Bel Air Cartier. Having been judged for saddlery and costume was competitor 1801. It's Tiffin's Encore and Tiffany Greenhill from Balnarring here in Victoria. Now, Tiffany competed at the Royal Melbourne Show in her first miniature turnout when she was just 2 years old on a Shetland named Wandara Bonus. And it was ironical in some respects. The next year, after Tiffany won that, they brought in the rule that you had to be 4 years old or over. And Tiffany has competed at the show every year since, obviously except the COVID and EI years. Tiffany and Tiffin's Encore have been reserve champion show Hunter Galloway at the Royal Melbourne Show in 2018. Now, Tiffany, sister, and herself have been competing at the Royal Melbourne Show, as I say, for many, many years since childhood. In 2006 through to 2019, they both competed in the Garryowen, and her mother also competed here at the Royal Melbourne Show in harness and mounted police events as well. Tiffany rides Tiffin's Encore, a homebred out of their thoroughbred mare that she rode in the Garryowen in 2006 as a first-time competitor. Tiffin's Encore is known as Noddy around the home. So our next competitor to commence their workout will be Tiffany Greenhill and Tiffin's Encore.
We've just had the presentation of our next competitor into the costume section with Penny Verco, and the steward that presents each of our riders to our judge, Penny Verco, there is Jason Ronald OAM, who Jeremy Roberts interviewed. Do you know he's been stewarding the Garryowen for 36 years? We talked a moment ago about the Hall of Fame inductees, and Ray Curcio was the inductee this year as a rider. Each year, one rider, one horse, and one provider of exceptional service, and a lovely cheer from the crowd there for our latest workout. And Ray talked about a cheer from the crowd when she galloped her lovely Ascot in front of the UK judge, Lady Hemphill. And Lady Hemphill, in fact, said to Ray, "Can I take this horse back with me to the motherland?" And that horse had done exceptionally well, taking out Champion Hack at Royal Adelaide and numerous champions and supreme titles around prominent agricultural shows. But Ray was such a hoot the other night. It was glorious to hear about her history growing up with quality ponies and Galloways and Hacks that her father had produced, and the success of owning and exhibiting Country Life, who had carried Lynette Beesbrook to Garryowen victory in 1965. And Ray was one of those riders that was very versatile. She rode and hunted with the hounds and rode stock horses. She rode track work for her father, and she'd always aspired to the Garryowen. So much so, she competed 11 times, twice winning, twice second, twice third, fourth and fifth, and took out sixth month as well. But her two wins were on Idlewild in 73 and Ascot in 76.
Being judged now for saddlery and costume is competitor 1355. This is Stephanie O'Connor from Seaforth in New South Wales, and Stephanie rides her very successful Supreme. Now, Stephanie, interestingly, didn't come from a horsey background at all. In fact, her family was quite non-horsey, so she didn't lease her first horse until she was 13 years of age. After that, she bought a stock horse named Shazza, bought by her grandmother for her, in fact, and then she bought her first show horse, Valentino's Embrace, at the age of 15. And Stephanie says that was the horse that taught her how to ride. Since then, she's had great success on the horse she's riding in the Garryowen, Supreme, and this is her favourite horse. She's had him almost 8 years now, and she says she wouldn't train him for anything. Amongst her wins have been Open Hack at the 2022 Brisbane Royal. In fact, it was the fourth time he had won that Open Hack class at Brisbane Royal. Stephanie was Reserve Champion Rider at the New South Wales Horse of the Year in 2021, Reserve Champion Hack of the Year at the 2020 New South Wales Horse of the Year as well. Our Supreme is an off-the-track thoroughbred by Doomsday. He was bred by the great Woodland Stud. He raced here at Flemington. He started his show career with Adam Oliver, and he was purchased by Steph in 2013. And again, a horse who's won at Grand Nationals, DA Nationals. He's won at Royals as well, and Steph loves him and says he's a special horse. She really does enjoy showing him and has had great success with him. So that will be our next horse to compete their workout. It's Supreme and Stephanie O'Connor. In the meantime, in the ring, we're watching the workout of competitor 1808, Tiffin's Encore and Tiffany Greenhill.
But Peter Hegney, I'm down here with Jemima Draper. She has completed her workout. And Jemima, well done. You came out of there, you put a smile on your face, and the crowd applauded. That must feel pretty good to come out of the arena and get an applause like that.
Yeah, it felt great. It was a really good performance, I felt, and it was lovely to have so many people here supporting us.
Wonderful to have you out here in the Garryowen. This event is so wonderful, and it must be really special to be a part of that. Who have you got to thank for getting you and the horse into the arena?
There's been a lot of people that have gone into this. Firstly, I've got to thank Clint, who has produced and prepared this horse, and he's done an amazing job. She just moves spectacularly, so she's lovely to ride. My mum, who's been there the whole time through it, my partner, my dad, all my friends who are all come and watched. It's just been really great, and I've had so much support coming into it.
Absolutely wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for being a part of this year's Garryowen. Jemima Draper there with Bel Air Cartier.
Talking about our Hall of Fame inductees, and so lovely to hear the voice of Helen Hegney there. And Jeremy, you mentioned that her horse, Arkin, winner of the 1975 turnout and multiple-time place getter in 67, 68, 73, each time ridden by Helen. And the horse was 17 years old when he took out the big win. And interestingly, it was the first time in many years that a South Australian rider had won. In fact, the previous South Australian winning rider was Phyllis Bray back in 1936, so in the very early years. And Helen Hegney had purchased Arkin, well, the family had purchased Arkin when she was just 3 years old from the late Leo Beesbrook and Art Utendall, when Helen was quite young indeed. And they would intend to campaign him as a Galloway at country shows, but he grew and grew to 15.3, and Helen instead went on to be very successful in the dressage world with him all the way to FEI national level. He also jumped into B grade. He won the 10-stone hack competition at the Royal Adelaide Show on 8 occasions, and then retired the year after he won the Garryowen.
And interestingly, Arkin has been buried with that fellow Garryowen winner, Grazier, who was ridden by Helen's niece, Margot Haynes, to win the Garryowen as well. In the arena now is competitor 1355. This is Stephanie O'Connor, and Stephanie rides Supreme. Being judged for saddlery and costume at present is competitor 745. This is Lyndon Park Touch the Clouds and Bryony Randall from Pakenham. Bryony, of course, known to so many competitors in the show ring, has been a very successful competitor for a number of years. On this occasion, she rides Lyndon Park Touch the Clouds, a thoroughbred horse foaled in 2012 by War Chant from a mare by Ken Vane. This horse was unraced, but was in fact a $40,000 yearling when sold at the Perth yearling sales, owned by Alexa Fraser from Queensland, who in turn purchased her from Linda Benzie in Western Australia. She was then sent down to New South Wales to the Crawford twins to prep for the Sydney Royal Show, where she won her novice and then went on to win at the Pacific Coast Hack Championships before she arrived down with Bryony. Now, Bryony's been competing at the Melbourne Royal since the age of 5. She's won every age turnout, starting from the mini right through to the Garryowen. A former Garryowen winner, of course, Bryony Randall, and apart from her Garryowen win and great success at the Royal here, she has also won at the Nationals, at the Grand Nationals, and at Royal shows right throughout Australia. So that will be our next competitor into the ring. It will be Lyndon Park Touch the Clouds and Bryony Randall. In the meantime, we're watching Supreme and Stephanie O'Connor complete their workout.
Well, Peter Hegney, I'm down here with a young lady that I call Yo Play, and a wonderful family that Tiff Greenhill comes from. Her sister Penny Greenhill has been a competitor here in the Garryowen. I think Tiff, both you and Penny have been in the Garryowen together before, but this is a very special horse for you. You bred him yourself, and how did you enjoy your ride out here on the arena today?
Apart from forgetting to breathe, still catching my breath. No, it was good. It was a lot of fun. It's a privilege and an honour to compete in such an event.
Now, no doubt Penny has been out there getting you ready, checking everything and making sure that everything's all on point. But it very much is a family affair, isn't it, with you, your sister, and of course your mum, Sharon?
Yes, perfect pennied. Attention to detail is definitely a strength of hers, and she does a lot behind the scenes, our chief strapper. And Mum, who cares for Noddy almost full time whilst I work, so I'm very lucky to have such a supportive family.
Well, Tiff, it is absolutely wonderful to have you here enjoying the Garryowen, Tiffin's Encore and Tiffany Greenhill.
Well, that completes the workout for Supreme and Stephanie O'Connor. One final assessment now being made by our confirmation and soundness judge, Dr. Mike Tweedy. Next horse to enter the arena will be Bryony Randall and Lyndon Park Touch the Clouds. In the meantime, having their saddlery and their costume judged is competitor 1404. It's Melissa Gillies and Beyond Reasonable Doubt. And this combination we welcome down from Sydney. Now, Melissa has a most interesting story, unlike most of the other people about whom I've spoken here today, because Melissa didn't actually start riding until she was in her mid-30s, when she purchased a horse to commence her riding career. And when she purchased the horse, it was a 6-year-old thoroughbred mare who had been a barrier rogue. So it wasn't the ideal start for Melissa to commence her riding career. So in Melissa's own words, every single time she enters the ring and completes with a horse, it's a success. On this occasion, she rides Beyond Reasonable Doubt, or Bundy, as he's known around the stables. This horse was actually bred by Mary Hannah. It came to Melissa as an 8-year-old to be a show horse, but he doesn't really enjoy being a show horse because Melissa says he doesn't really like to stay clean. Now, Melissa credits a great team behind her to get to the Garryowen this year. It was the Garryowen, in fact, that inspired her to keep coming back to the Melbourne Royal. She loves the Garryowen. She has been competing here for a number of years, but it is the Garryowen that's the great attraction to Melissa. Behind her, she has the team from the JS Equestrian, Jess Stones. She also appreciates the support she's had from Peter and Carolyn Wagner as well to get into the Garryowen this year. So that will be our next competitor in the ring. It is Melissa Gillies and Beyond Reasonable Doubt.
Well, Peter Hegney, Stephanie O'Connor has completed her workout on her beautiful horse that is Supreme. I just said to Steph, Peter, I said, how many times you've been competing? 3 or 4 times? He said 5, 6, 7. Time seems to go by the wayside. But Steph, it is fabulous to have you here at this year's Melbourne Royal Show. Are you happy with that workout? You seem to be putting on a good show out there.
Yes, I'm absolutely thrilled. Like, he really put on a good show, and I just couldn't be happier with how he worked.
You made the trek from New South Wales. We've seen you here for the last couple of Melbourne Royal shows. It's a show that you enjoy, a show you've had great success at before. But as a class like this, we've been speaking this morning about how prestigious it is. There is nothing like it, is there, around the countryside?
No, there absolutely isn't. Like, to have everyone from around the country come in, like in our special dress, really specialised workouts under 6 different judges, it's really just such an amazing event, steeped in so much history.
Well, wonderful to have you here, Stephanie O'Connor. Please drive safely when you get there, when you head home. But it is absolutely wonderful to have you here and to have the family here.
Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Peter Hegney, Stephanie O'Connor also in this Heat 3 out here. And I tell you what, Peter, I have been talking about it, just the feeling down here, just all of these lovely riders that are really enjoying this fabulous event and loving being a part of this year's Garryowen.
That completes the workout for competitor 745, Lyndon Park Touch the Clouds and Bryony Randall. So our next horse into that ring will be Melissa Gillies, and she rides Beyond Reasonable Doubt. Having their costume and saddlery judged now is competitor 1652. This is Dreamtime Lyrics and Rebecca Keane. You can see there, our Judge Penny Verco is taking the judging of the costume very seriously down there. Nothing is going to get past Penny Verco, our costume judge, and I'm sure the same applies to our saddlery judge as well. Now, Rebecca Keane and Dreamtime Lyrics, they come from Katunga here in Victoria. Rebecca has ridden during most of her childhood, but most of her early riding was in fact around the farm and at Pony Club. And in fact, about the age of 12, she competed in her first agricultural show. And from there, then her love for showing just grew and grew. She was lucky enough to upgrade from the farm pony to a great little show pony. Rebecca herself says that pony was an absolute dream. He did everything from farm riding to competing at Royals until Rebecca was about 16 years of age. Her last Melbourne Royal, which was in fact her last Melbourne Royal, and then she had an 18-year break. She had three lovely little boys during that time when she had a break. And since then, she has returned to the show ring and enjoying much success in the show ring. She has had a great 3 years with the horse she's riding at the moment, which is Dreamtime Lyrics. She purchased him as a breaker, and when she had the horse, she just had a young baby at the time. It was quite a challenge, she says, but she's appreciative that she did so. And now she's been competing in Horse of the Year events, Show Horse Council events. She's been making the top 10 in those shows, and also taking Rebecca to rider wins and wins at the Grand National as well. It is competitor 1652. It's Dreamtime Lyrics and Rebecca Keane. And you can see Rebecca down there. She'll be warming up before she takes her turn for her workout in the main ring.
Another one of our very wonderful, very successful competitors. She has won the Garryowen previously on a horse by the name of Entourage, but this time around she's on a different horse. Bryony Randall out here on the arena today. You've been here a couple of times, but today, talk to us about how you're feeling.
Yeah, no major mistakes, so that was good. We're a fairly new combination, and she's quite an inexperienced horse who hasn't really done a lot, so I'm really pleased she held it together in the atmosphere, and yeah, pretty happy, yeah.
She might be inexperienced, but you're certainly not when it comes to the Garryowen. No doubt lots of people behind the scenes helping you, but you know this class inside out, don't you? And you know all those little things. Talk to us about what you thought when you came into this class.
Yeah, well, I just know that you've got to ride it like any other class, and you know, not just sit there stiff and everything. The clothes are really hard, so you've just got to ride and go in there confident. And I really had to be confident with this mare because she lacks a bit of confidence. So yeah, just went in like any other class and just tried to ride it as well as I could.
Well, Bryony, great to have you here. Wonderful competitor here at Melbourne Royal Show, and she is exhibit number 745.
Well, I can see down there now that competitor 1404, Melissa Gillies and Beyond Reasonable Doubt, have completed their judging of their manners and paces and confirmation of soundness. So our next horse in that ring will be 1652, Rebecca Keane and Dreamtime Lyrics.
Wasn't it glorious 2019 to watch the win of Jess Stones and Mickey Moto, and today, not long from now, a new combination will be etched into the trophy forever in the history here. In the name of Violet Murrell, these riders ride with so much honour and emotion, and just such a special class to be party to.
Being judged now for saddlery and costume is our final competitor in the Garryowen for 2022. It will be competitor 177, India Mitchell, and Royalwood Centre Stage. This combination come from Samaria, just north of, in the north part of Victoria, near Benalla. India is 30 years of age, and India, like so many people, have been riding for many, many years. Her family purchased her first pony, a Shetland pony called Snowy, for a Christmas present when she was 5 years of age. Now, she's fortunate that she comes from a family of people who have been involved in riding. They attended Pony Club for many years, and India attended her first Royal Show when she was 11 years of age. She's had much success here at the Melbourne Royal. India has had been champion intermediate rider. She's been first in an open hack class and also a gelding class. India's mother, Sally Mitchell, rode at many Royal shows. She rode here at Melbourne Royal Show. She competed in the Garryowen herself 3 times. And India says her unofficially adopted sister, Jemima Draper, is also competing here today. So I'm sure India has great support. Today she rides Royalwood Centre Stage, a pony, or Galloway or small hack, should I say, by Royalwood Boy Soprano out of Knowing. And this horse was purchased from Royalwood Stud as a 2-year-old. He was broken in by Dale Plum, and from there he was shown independently with assistance from Rebecca Farron and many others, and has had great success in the show ring at both Sydney and Melbourne Royal shows. He was leased to the Sutton Kouros family for some time, and is in fact now is living with Jodie Allen and Tex Flack, and was prepared by them for the Melbourne Royal this year. So it will be our final competitor, India Mitchell and Royalwood Centre Stage. But we're currently watching in the ring competitor 1652, Rebecca Keane and Dreamtime Lyrics.
I wish I could share with you, Jeremy Roberts, on the ground, the gifts that I've just had presented to me very temporarily. The most beautiful necklaces, diamond encrusted, engraved with the name Garryowen. They will be presented, the 2 necklaces, one to our overall winner and another to our best performed first time, and they are brought to us by Melbourne Jewellery Service, valued at $700, supported by Sally Murrell-Rich, and they are the most extraordinary necklaces. What an honour to be presented one of these later today.
Absolutely, Lindsay. Some wonderful prizes, as well as being put onto that wonderful trophy, those names to be etched for the winners of every year's Garryowen and of course in 2022. But Melissa Gillies is here. She rode her horse Beyond Reasonable Doubt. Melissa, firstly, I want to talk about the wonderful names that you call these horses. I spoke yesterday about the way that you name them. You're an SC in Sydney. Talk to us about how the names of your horses came about.
Well, the first decent horse I bought myself was a horse called Legal Eagle, and he'd been a World Cup winner, so I didn't want to change the name. But I was also concerned that people would think that I had such a lack of humility that I'd called him Legal Eagle either after myself or because I fancied myself one. So because everyone thought that, I thought, well, I better carry on with the theme. So we have Beyond Reasonable Doubt today. We had Verdict by Direction with a very successful day with Jess Stones yesterday. At home, I've got My Learned Friend taking the 5th, and we've had a bona fides in there as well. So Paramount Consideration, look out, you're the next one on my list.
I absolutely love it. It's wonderful. But talking about this Garryowen class today, it must be really special for you. I heard that you didn't start riding till quite late in your life, but wonderful to have you here being a part of this event. What is it like for you to come out here into Victoria? You are from New South Wales, to come down here into Victoria and be a part of this wonderful event.
We love coming down to Melbourne. It's a wonderful event. We love the Garryowen and we love the classes that come before it. The reason probably we love it is because we always have a really good support crew behind us, and this morning we've had JS Equestrian preparing the horse, Carolyn and Pete Wagner making sure that we look our best before we come into the ring. Without that support it wouldn't be much fun at all, and I've got to say my non-horsey husband Robert, I think he almost is starting to enjoy the Garryowen, so hopefully anyway.
Well, absolutely wonderful. Well, we hope to have you here for many years to come. It is a wonderful event, and it is fantastic to have you here, Melissa Gillies.
Thank you very much.
I've also got Beck Keane down here. She might be a little puffed. She's just come out of the ring, but she's got a smile on her face. Beck Keane, I said to you before you went into the class, I said, are you nervous? And you looked at me and said, I'm not nervous, but you had this nervous look on your face. You're probably not so nervous now. How was that? First year competitor in 2022. Congratulations. And how does it feel to now have been completing your workout? And I guess it's all over until the judging now.
I couldn't have been happier. I'm so proud of this horse. He's just amazing. His first Royal and our first time at this, and I couldn't be happier with him.
Now, it must be really special for you to come into a class like this. You've probably watched it for a number of years. You've seen those beautiful riders that have had their names etched onto the trophy. But to be a part of this class and to come in here to compete, you must have been pretty nervous this morning. A lot of sort of time and anticipation being in the third heat today. But once you got out here?
It's indescribable, really. Everyone had said that it is amazing and fantastic, but until you're actually out here and riding it, it's just a feeling you cannot describe.
Who have you got to thank, Beck, for helping you get into the ring today?
Oh my God, my list is miles long. Everyone, you know who you are. Everyone played a massive part, whether it be just making me eat or drink or helping me polish my gear. Everyone that called in emergencies and did things to help out when things didn't go through. But we all did it together and we're all here, and I thank you all so much.
Absolutely wonderful. Beck Keane, our first-year competitor for 2022.
Well, Jeremy Roberts, we have our final competitor in the ring at the moment, and this is competitor 177. It's India Mitchell and Royalwood Centre Stage. Well, at the end of this, of course, our people down there doing the adding will be working feverishly to have a result for you. All the scores will be handed in. I mentioned earlier the scoring system that we operate under here in the Garryowen. 50 points for confirmation and soundness, 40 for management paces, 50, I beg your pardon, for riding ability, 20 for general appearance, 20 for costume, 20 for saddlery. A total of 200 points are available, and we've so far had a wonderful competition. We wait with bated breath to see what the result is going to be. So there, our final competitor, Royalwood Centre Stage and India Mitchell.
A nice opportunity to tell the story of Violet Murrell. Now, so many of us are across the tragic end in the 1930s when Violet and Bill retired for the night, having ensured that their horses, Garryowen and Picant, were safely in the stable at the back of the residence. And around 2 a.m. the next morning, Violet was awakened by the screams of her horses and rushed out to see her stable on fire. She ran into the inferno in the vain hope of pulling out the two animals, but her night clothes caught fire and she suffered terrible burns, and Bill too succumbed to his injuries, as did the horses, and it was a very tragic end to what was an extraordinary partnership of the two, Bill and Violet, and their dear love of horses. Their brilliance and contribution to the horse world was quite significant throughout the 20s. And we talk about Violet's prowess as a jockey, a show jumper, a top novelty rider, a hack rider, a point-to-pointer, following the hounds and more. Her skills knew no bounds. She was enormously competent and versatile. And Jeremy Roberts, we have our final competitor on the grounds now.
That's right, Lindsay Douglas. India Mitchell on this beautiful horse, Troy. You know this horse inside out. You had him for many years. He's not in the stable with you anymore, but must be really special coming out here on him, and the last competitor out here for 2022.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. It's great to be out here, and it's such a good vibe with everyone. We're so glad to be back. Yeah, it's my first time in the last heat, so I'm very excited.
Well, I must let you go. We do need to get the show on the road, but India Mitchell, wonderful to have you here. Number 177 out here today. The final competitor, as you said, Lindsay Douglas.
Well, a beautiful shot of the Garryowen trophy on our big screens now, and I was just telling the crowd a little bit about the great success of Violet Murrell in her short life. From an early age, she'd been regarded as one of the most dashing and fearless ladies at the hunt. She was a member of the Melbourne Hunt Club, very successful over hurdles and fences. And it was said by the club that no other person had better hands on a horse. And whilst in the riding of jumpers at shows and races at Gymkhana, and Gymkhanas all around the country, she was considered the lady who was most decorated, who had more trophies than any other woman in the world. And what an extraordinary title to have held. And of course, Violet was a seriously skilled jockey, but it was at a time when women were prevented from racing against the men at what we would call Group 1 races. And so she was largely restricted to country tracks. But she didn't understand why she couldn't race against the men, as she'd proven time and time again that she was more than capable, having won on numerous occasions in both flat and hurdle races. And it was in fact written that there was no lady in the entire Commonwealth who had so much been attached to the sport of racing. In fact, during the mid-1920s, she won 17 events from 19 starts. She raced at Flemington, Caulfield, Moonee Valley, Mentone or Epsom as it's known, and Williamstown. And she was deemed by her peers to be the top female equestrian of her time. So we all know that she was this extraordinary horsewoman and dying only at the age of 29. But in every account of her skill with horses, there's this underpinning theme that she was driven by a real love for horses, and she created really strong bonds with them, as her father did, who was a trainer and racehorse owner. And they both had a real gift of being able to communicate with animals, and that came very naturally to Violet. Garryowen, for example, was considered a rather difficult horse, but the phrasing they use is he was like a lamb with Violet, hence his owner's decision, W.A. Jones, to gift Garryowen to Violet. So we all know she was indeed a formidable horsewoman, famous around the nation for her successes. But what you may not know is that she was notoriously brave and graceful. As a jockey, she collected all the requisite injuries, the busted arms, the broken nose, the broken collarbone. But with a trademark grace and resilience, she got back up and rode as soon as she could each time. She was also inherently philanthropic. For instance, in her concern for animal welfare, Violet would offer pony rides to children for a fee and donate the proceeds to the Purple Cross charity. She was an artist. Violet drew pictures of her horse events that she so loved in her diary, with an artistic flair that had been passed down by her mother, who was a great oil painter, mentored by an Archibald Prize winner. And her love, her romantic partnership was great. It was deep and it was unorthodox for the day. The age gap was noteworthy, and Bill, her husband, was a very skilled cross-country rider and jockey. But he was also a feminist of sorts. He supported Violet in her pursuit to race in metropolitan races, and he would tour with her to the race meets wherever she travelled around the country. And to boot, as if Violet weren't memorable enough, she was by all accounts, and hundreds of them, very beautiful, very fashionable, and unwaveringly kind. So through this event, we celebrate one unforgettable young woman's legacy in the world of horses and her hard horse, Garryowen. It is more than an historic turnout class and a prestigious test of horsewomanship. It's a reminder of a role model like no other in Violet, a world-class equestrian, a philanthropist, an artist, a woman of deep kindness, love, bravery and determination, a woman pushing boundaries, adored by many, and lost far too soon. It is so important that on today we remember Violet in the 29 years before the story that is so well known even began.
Well, Lindsay Douglas, I'm down here on the arena with a very special lady. It is Penny Vercoe. Now, Penny Vercoe, we were just chatting then, and I said, you've won this with your horse, Inferno. And you said, Jeremy, that was a long time ago, but I'm sure the memories don't leave your mind. A wonderful event, this is the Garryowen. But Penny, talk to us about what it's like to be pulled forward as the winner of this very prestigious class.
I just think absolute shock. I don't think anybody that actually wins the Garryowen feels that they're going to win the Garryowen. It was, and I think it just takes a long time for it to sink in. That feeling was amazing, but then it's also to reflect back. It's not just a horse and rider event. There's a whole team behind the horse and rider as well. So it's a win, but it's a win for a lot of people as well. I think it also depicts a good rider, but that bond between the horse and rider, which makes it so special because there's so many elements to the Garryowen. So it's special on so many levels.
Now, in 2022, you are obviously a judge. What's that like to step into the ring and be on the other side of the equation, I guess, when it comes to the Garryowen? 6 judges a year, there's a few of you, but to take one element of this production that is the Garryowen and being responsible for that, how did you find that experience?
I really enjoyed it. I thought about it a lot leading into the event. Obviously, being a competitor, I wanted the competitors under me to feel like that they were judged fairly, that there was a reasoning behind all my scores. I'd worked out how I was going to be consistent from the first rider all the way to the last rider. I really enjoyed it, and I really appreciate all the work that everybody went to, and I hope that they take my comments on board as something to improve on rather than, you know, to be negative to it. I was just hoping that, it's just about getting better and where my scores came from.
You're doing less riding these days. You're involved in selling properties. Will we ever see you back here in the Garryowen in years to come?
Oh, I'd love to say that you'd see me. Look, the jury's out a little bit, but I can tell you, I really hope that you'll see a horse that I've produced or I've bred out in the Garryowen. So that is a sure thing. Me riding, I'm not 100% sure.
Well, it's absolutely fabulous to have you here, Penny Vercoe, to have the involvement that you have had here in this wonderful event with your horse Inferno. It might have been a few years ago, but as a past winner of this event, to have you here in 2022 as a judge, it is wonderful.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. Penny Vercoe, who was one of our 6 judges responsible for the Garryowen Trophy. We are getting set up here on the arena for that presentation, so please don't go anywhere. The scores are being collated. It is a wonderful event. No doubt all of you have a pen and paper, or you've got your phone out and you're making note of who you think might be those placings. But as Penny Vercoe says, it's not until those names are called forward that you really understand who the winner is. There's so much that goes into this. There's so much attention to detail. There is so much involved with the teams behind all of these lady riders that are out here. It is a wonderful event, and very shortly we will announce the winner and place getters of the 2022 Garryowen Trophy.
We would like to pay tribute to wonderful members of the Melbourne royal family who have recently been lost to us. The likes of Mary de Crepney, lost last year, Garryowen Hall of Fame, recipient of the President's Medal, the Speed the Plough, a steward of Melbourne Royal and the owner of Eubank Stud.
In 2021, we lost Peter O'Hagan. Peter was a 35-year supporter of Dandenong Show and a life member, 40-year member of Berwick Show and a life member. He was awarded the Speed the Plough award at the Melbourne Royal Show, particularly for his contribution to harness.
Kath Metherell was lost to us this year. Garryowen winner in both 47 and 49. Alice Laidlaw winner, a life member of the Royal Agricultural Society of Victoria, Garryowen Hall of Fame and President's Medal recipient.
Ricky Kilburn gave 23 years of his life to the Royal Melbourne Show. He was assistant ringmaster in the 1970s and the 80s. He was also a very valued member and great supporter of the Melbourne Hunt Club.
Well, Jeff Beard was the chairman of the Horses in Action Committee from 1999 to 2011, a councillor of the Royal Agricultural Society of Victoria, a recipient of both the President's Medal and the Speed the Plough. We lost Jeff in 2020.
Earlier this year, we lost a great supporter and very successful exhibitor at Melbourne Royal in Hazel McMahon. Hazel showed many champion harness horses here. She commenced in the light and heavy harness sections. She started in deliveries, which she won on 9 years in succession, also won in light harness on 9 successive years.
Ross Marriott was a long-time and successful campaigner in the Clydesdale Arena. He won champion delivery horse 3 years in a row here with Barriga Culross, and his family still campaign today. We lost Ross this year.
A voice known to so many of us here at Royal Melbourne Show was the voice of Rob Gaylard, who passed in 2020. Rob competed successfully at Melbourne Royal Show jumping in harness ponies, in lead classes, and Rob, of course, a wonderful commentator and very active member of the equestrian community.
Hazel Bradford, a much-loved, long-time successful exhibitor here, took out Best Utility Stock Horse winner and exhibited her Shetlands early on with her sister Mavis Roycroft. Her daughter Jill won champion saddle pony with Millcroft Suzuki, and Hazel's Burrabong stud is still operating today, breeding beautiful ponies.
Earlier this year, we lost the founder of Marinda Stud, Peter Barry, a long-standing exhibitor here at Melbourne Royal Show, patron of the Riding Pony Studbook Society, importer of the wonderful stallion Keston Royal Occasion, and with his wife Robin Barry competed very successfully at Melbourne Royal Show.
We celebrated the Fairlight Acres Trophy recently, and the founder is on your screen now. Peter Collins, 1962, he started that great stud. He was Vice President and Federal Delegate of the Riding Pony Studbook Society.
One of the most successful competitors in the heavy harness section was Kevin Collins, whom we lost in 2020, but a great supporter and contributor to the Melbourne Royal Show, Kevin Collins.
All right, great moment to pay tribute to fine individuals, exceptional equestrian competitors here at Melbourne Royal. They are lost to us, but we remember them fondly.
Well, while we wait for our results to be known, we might again just remind people here what our winner is going to win of our 2022 Garryowen equestrian turnout. Firstly, there's the 9-carat gold diamond custom-made pin, handcrafted by Melbourne Jewellery Service, valued at $2,300, and that is very kindly supported by Sally Murrell-Rich, the grandniece of the late Vale Murrell. There's $2,000 in prize money, supported by Marguerite Dore Glass, the grandniece also of the late Vale Murrell. $1,000 prize money, supported by our great friends at Wagner Saddlery. A portrait valued at $1,000, supported by Michelle Bird Equine Art. There is, of course, the perpetual trophy, the Garryowen Trophy, to be prized. The wonderful Melbourne Royal Show Garryowen sash. There is a saddle cloth supported by Racing Victoria Limited. The wonderful Garryowen garland, about which Lindsay has spoken before, with a Hacken cane and antique amethyst tie bar from Jennifer Edwards, valued at $1,200, and that's created and supported by Lynn Milburn Garlands for a total value of $2,100. The trophy rug is supported by Cedar Lodge Equine Products, and there's that wonderful product pack supported by International Animal Health. They are the prizes that the winner of our 2022 Garryowen will take home.
Well, Peter Hegney, I'm down here on the arena with that great niece of Violet Murrell in Marguerite Dore. Marguerite, it is wonderful to have your support here at this year's Garryowen. This year's event, as in every year, it is so wonderful to be here. This is the first time I've been involved here with the Garryowen, but you've been here for over 10 years, and wonderful to have you here supporting as part of the family of the late Violet Murrell.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a great honour to be here to represent my great auntie, because I grew up with stories from my grandmother, because my grandmother was her little sister, and she used to often talk about Violet and the love of horses and what a beautiful person she was, and that everybody in the horse industry had great respect for her. And when she was a little girl, her father, Did was his name in the industry, used to take her out on a little pony at night time to settle her down. She just had a great love of horses.
We see that today as well with all of the competitors. Numerous times I've spoken to our competitors out here and said, did you enjoy it? And they said, we're here for the love of the horse. They love loving being here. Now, you yourself haven't been a competitor here, but your dad made sure that you all rode horses.
Yes, that's correct, yeah. We had a farm that we used to go to every weekend, and Dad made sure that all his children knew how to ride a horse. And we were taught not at a riding school, but with a jockey, a female jockey. So, yes, it was very important to us. But no, I can ride a horse, but I'm not, that's it.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here, Marguerite Dore. The history of this wonderful event continues year after year. We're seeing these young riders, our first-time competitors. It's really special, isn't it? I've mentioned it a number of times. I've chatted to everybody. There's nothing like this. And the vibe, I'm sure, being up there in the box and being down here as well, everybody really has this sort of a sense of importance, doesn't it?
Yes, it certainly does. And I'm just so deeply touched. And I'm so glad that everybody sort of wants to grow up to compete in the Garryowen, which is fabulous.
Absolutely. Marguerite Dore, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your wonderful support of this year's event. We'll find out shortly as the arena preparations are finalised, but please, we look forward to seeing you for many years to come.
Thank you.
Peter Hegney, the results coming to us very shortly, but as I've said, so wonderful to have all of these people, the family members of the late Vale Murrell, everybody here. It is such a prestigious, a very highly coveted award. All of our young lady riders have enjoyed themselves down here on the arena, and it is wonderful to see as we get ready for the presentation.
Well, Jeremy Roberts, I see down there on our live streaming and on the ground as well. You're about to do another interview, which you're doing so very well down there. So, Jeremy, it's over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. I'm here with Michael Tweedy, or Mike, as he refers to himself. Michael Tweedy, you are one of the very experienced judges here judging this year's Garryowen. Talk to us. You were the Conformation and Soundness judge out here. You're a vet. Talk to us about what you were looking for when it comes to these horses out here in this class that is the Garryowen.
I think today I was really just looking for soundness is the primary thing, regularity of movement, were they moving regularly? And then from there, conformational defects that might cause a horse an issue down the track or something that we wouldn't be a desirable attribute. So we try and pick the sort of the soundest, nicest looking horse we've got going with a good conformation.
When it comes to the scoring, how many points are allocated to your element of the Garryowen?
So I was able to score out of 50 today. So yeah, we top of 50 all the way down to 0. Thankfully, no one presented with 0. A lot of the very good horses presented today. So the scores were quite close together. But yeah, that was what we found today.
When it comes into a class like this, obviously you have to start somewhere. If you've got 50 points to allocate, where do you tend to find yourself to start? Do you start at a 45? Do you start and put your range of scores through the middle? Is that something you're used to doing?
I actually started on a 40 as the middle of the range, and then exceptionally moving horses were able to go above that there, and then we were able to work down from there. So for me, soundness was one of the primary things that I was really concerned about. So any horses that had an irregularity would have lost more points. Where minor conformational defects, you might have lost a point or two, but the lameness was a bigger part of how the score played out in the end.
Now, you are Dr. Michael Tweedy. Talk to us about your experience when it comes to horses and the veterinary side.
I've been a veterinary surgeon now for 20 years. It was the anniversary in June this year of me graduating. So I've been in Australia that entire time. I started my career at Golden Valley Equine Hospital up in Shepparton, and then moved actually just down round the corner, literally 200 metres away was my next job at Ascot, Vale, and we started there at Flemington Racecourse, then moved across to Caulfield, and now I'm based on the Mornington Peninsula. We just provide services to performance horses, and that's our main focus of our business.
So no stranger to horses, no stranger to the area. Wonderful to have you here, Mr. Michael Tweedy.
Thank you very much.
Peter Hegney, one of our wonderful, very well experienced and respected judges here, Mr. Michael Tweedy. It's wonderful to see, Peter, all of the army of people that come out here. There are stewards, there are board members of Royal Melbourne Show. We have, of course, our Horses in Action Committee. This team of stewards, they do a wonderful job to keep the show on the road as we get ready for the presentation.
Well, you're right, Jeremy Roberts, of course. An army of people down there you've quoted. A bit intimidating, but yes, there are a number of people, so many, many people, the judges, the stewards, the sponsors, supporters, everybody involved in the overall presentation of this wonderful award, the Garryowen Trophy. Well, with people moving forward there, as you say, it won't be long before we have the announcement.
So I'm just here on the live stream with Rebecca Farrow. Rebecca, we've seen all of our horses going. You are a previous Garryowen winner. We've seen all of our competitors complete their workouts. You've had a look over them as well. How are these girls feeling now when they come out onto the arena? I guess nothing else can be done.
I think there's a certain part of them that will be very relieved, but there's still heightened anxiety around where they're sitting in this final lineup.
A lot of effort, a lot of time's gone into this. It really, it is in the lap of the gods or the lap of the judges right now when it comes to it. But until that number or that name is called forward, all of these girls that are out here want to win, don't they? As, you know, they might be here enjoying it, but all of that effort coming together, they do want to be etched in history.
They really do. It means so much to all the riders, and I think you know, they'll all be sitting out the back trying to size up the field, see who's worked well. They'll be looking at each other's clothing while they're chatting and thinking, oh, mine's right, yours isn't, or yours is better and mine isn't. So yeah, there's still a lot going through their minds.
I'm not going to ask you who it is, but have you got your thoughts on who you think the winners and place getters are?
I think the winner I'm not so sure about, but top three in my mind, yes, I've got that in my mind.
Well, hopefully, Rebecca Farrow, we get to see you in the middle of the ring judging one year, because I think your attention to detail would absolutely be appreciated. 6 judges here, but all of us on the sidelines have chosen our winners, but it's up to the judges, and we wish those riders the best of luck.
Yeah, best of luck to all the girls out there. Ladies, I should say.
Ladies, Rebecca Farrow says, but great to have you all joining us on the live stream from this year's 2022 Garryowen Equestrian Turnout. It's a wonderful event. It is so fantastic, and it is great that we can share this with you all at home around the country and around the world on the live stream, coming to you from the 2022 Melbourne Royal Show.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the 88th Garryowen Equestrian Turnout presentation. What a magnificent day. It is the jewel in the crown of our $80,000 Horses in Action program here at Melbourne Royal, and you will bear witness today to a new chapter in history. My name is Lindsay Douglas and I have the pleasure of being your host for today's presentations. Please join me in welcoming our official party to the presentation area. Welcomely. Let's get this right. Garryowen presenter Catherine Coleman, assistant trainer to champion trainer Peter Moody. Please make her welcome Melbourne. Melbourne Royal Board member Jason Ronald OAM, 36 years stewarding this event. The chairman of the Horses in Action program at Melbourne Royal, Melinda Ralph. Supporter of this event and grand niece of Violet Murrell, Sally Murrell-Rich. Supporter and grand niece of Violet Murrell, Marguerite Dorr. Our premier supporter of the event, Racing Victoria Off the Track, their program manager, Melissa Ware. Representing Wagner's Saddlery, a major sponsor of this class, it is Peter Wagner. They didn't change it for me. Steve Russell of Cedar Lodge, a supporter of the class. The designer of the resplendent garland, it's Lynn Milburn of Lynn Melbourne Garlands. Michelle Bird of Michelle Bird Equine Art. Stuart McKinnon, son of Marion McKinnon, the historian and author and presenter of the First Time McKinnon Medal. Mr. Shannon Lawler from International Animal Health, who have been supporting our entire Horses in Action program. Now let's welcome our judges and stewards to the arena. Judges and stewards, please join us here for the presentation. Judge Catherine Neal, our riding judge, and steward Di Warboys. Judge Michael Tweedy, overseeing confirmation and soundness, and steward Nerida Sadler. Our manners and paces judge Carol Hassel and steward Raymond Butler. Our saddlery judge Cynthia Doherty and steward Tony Norris. Our general appearance judge, Diane Melrose, Penny Verco, our costume judge, and members of our committee, Leanne Taranto and Dean Matthews. Wayne Luffnan, our chief steward and wonderful committee member of the Horses in Action program, and Warren Warboys, our ringmaster on the ground. Importantly, let us welcome back our 19 competitors into the arena, 4 of whom are competing for the very first time, and as usual, an extraordinarily high level and quality of competition. Ladies and gentlemen, following our red coats, these are your Garryowen competitors. Well, this year, for the first time ever, we will award the McKinnon Medal for the best performed competitor over 45 years of age. We will also award, as is done historically, the best first-time competitor with the most beautiful custom-made horseshoe brooch, diamond encrusted, designed by Melbourne jewellers. And of course, our overall winner here today will take the 24-carat gold, diamond-encrusted, custom-made Garryowen necklace home as well. To begin today's presentation ceremony, ladies and gentlemen, please be outstanding, and gentlemen, if you could remove your hats as we join to sing Australia's national anthem, led by Alexis Van Maanen.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for Alexis Van Maanen. And keep that applause going for our competitors. Competitors, members of the Murrell family, past winners, judges, stewards, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Melbourne Royal, welcome to the 88th Garryowen Equestrian Turnout. We are honoured to have these outstanding riders behind us who have competed in the Garryowen today. And we would like to make special recognition of our event sponsors. Firstly, to the premier supporter, Racing Victoria off the track. Please show your appreciation. To the grandnieces of Violet Murrell, Marguerite Dorr and Sally Murrell-Rich, to Wagner's Saddlery, to Lynn Milburn, to Cedar Park Equine Products, to Michelle Bird, to the Mitchell and Draper families, and to International Animal Health, we thank you for your valued support of this prestigious event. We also have the highly skilled Catherine Coleman here with us today, assistant trainer to champion trainer Peter Moody, to make the official announcement of our winner and place getters. We are delighted to have you, and looking magnificent today, Catherine, might I add. We would also like to acknowledge the Horses in Action Committee. 6 of them pull off 12 days of extraordinary competition, $80,000 in sponsorship, thousands of horses, the most prestigious turnout series of events in all of Australia. They do a brilliant job, and the Garryowen Working Group specifically, might we acknowledge you and thank you for your efforts. We had a great time on Saturday night doing the rider draw and also inducting 3 of the most memorable individuals, horses as well, into the Hall of Fame for Garryowen. The brilliant Arkin Helen Hegney's horse was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Ray Curcio, rider extraordinaire, 11 Garryowen entries and numerous wins and places. And the exceptional service inductee was the much beloved Mal Cameron. Thank you all, and please give them a large round of applause. Might I also take a moment to express our sadness at the loss of Kath Metherell. Kath was a brilliant and loved horsewoman, winner in 47 and again in 49, Garryowen Hall of Fame inductee, President's Medal, life member recipient, and we do send our condolences to the Metherell family and the broader Garryowen community who so loved Kath. 2,300 entries are in this year's Horses in Action program. It is such a feature of the Melbourne Royal Show, and it is famous Australia-wide for the quality of the competition run down here in the entrance as well. Turnout day, and of course the Garryowen is the jewel in the crown of that 12-day program, and it allows breeders and owners and riders to benchmark against the very best of the best. The Garryowen is intrinsically linked to Victorian history, and there is nary a Victorian who doesn't know of its significance. It is incredible that its 88-year history is upheld still today with the warmth and vigour, the emotion that you heard in our riders' voices out there as they competed. The story of Violet Murrell, the accomplished horse rider, the jockey who is commonly known as the Queen of Racing, who secured her place in history as a true ambassador for the equestrian world and racing industries, is a moment worthy of our reflection each year. This event was first held in 1934 following the tragic death of Violet Murrell, who courageously sought to save her three-time Royal Melbourne Show champion horse Garryowen from a stable fire. The Garryowen remains the most prestigious equestrian event in Australia today, and we congratulate all of our competitors for the years and months and weeks and hours today of effort that has gone into them being a competitor. It's now my great pleasure to invite Mr. Jason Ronald, OAM, board member, to say a few words.
Thank you, Leslie, for that, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Just adding the welcome on behalf of the President and Directors of Melbourne Royal to this special presentation of the Garryowen in its 88th year. I'd also, on behalf of the board, like to pay tribute to Kath Metherell, who died on the 5th of June this year at Ngambie. Kath not only won the Garryowen in 1947 and 1949, and you're all well aware of that, but also won the Alice Laidlaw in 1948, the second year it was competed for. A great supporter of the event, and Melbourne Royal will miss her. It's an honour for us to continue the tradition of this competition each year, and we look forward to the 90th in 2 years' time. Thank you to our sponsors who support this competition. Your involvement is greatly appreciated, particularly the continued support of the Murrell family. This event is the most significant equestrian event in Australia and is an integral part of the Melbourne Royal Show. This year has been another outstanding competition, and can I thank our judges and our stewards and the chairman, Melinda Ralph, and members of the Horse Committee for their dedication and commitment. Congratulations to all our competitors today for giving their all and performing to the best of their ability. Can I especially thank Catherine Coleman for accepting our invitation to make the official presentations this year. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, to begin our presentations today, we will invite our first-year competitors to step forward to receive the commemorative medallion presented by Marguerite Dorr, grandniece of Violet Murrell, and assisted by board member Jason Ronald, OAM. The medallions have been generously supported by the Mitchell and Draper families. Well, in a moment, we will announce the best first-year rider, who will also receive a sterling silver custom necklace, the horseshoe diamond-encrusted beautiful piece supported by Sally Murrell-Rich, valued at $700, made by Melbourne Jewellery Service, plus $250 from Wagner's Saddlery, the Cotton Trophy rug from Cedar Lodge, the product pack from International Animal Health. Well, thank you to Marguerite making these presentations. It is now my great pleasure to invite Jason Ronald OAM to announce the best first-year competitor of the Melbourne Royal Show's 88th Garryowen Equestrian Turnout.
The best first-year exhibitor is exhibit number 1901, Winara Signature, Ebony Lee.
Sally Murrell-Rich making the presentation of the custom-made, beautiful piece of jewellery there. Diamond encrusted, sterling silver, says Garryowen on the horseshoe, just glorious. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's once again congratulate our first-year competitors and our best first-year, Ebony Lee. I'd now like to introduce the McKinnon Medal. The medal is awarded in recognition of Marion McKinnon, Garryowen Hall of Fame inductee, historian and author of the 2 Garryowen books that tell the history of this event and those it is named after in such beautiful detail. She's also a recipient of the RASV President's Medal, and this year the McKinnon Medal is awarded to the highest scoring Garryowen competitor over 45 years of age. It is the first time ever that it will be presented, but we intend that it will have a long history with the competition. The winner will receive a medallion, a $250 prize, and a product pack, all generously supported by our wonderful supporters, including International Animal Health. It's now my great pleasure to invite Jason Ronald OAM to make the announcement of the McKinnon Medal winner for the 88th Garryowen Equestrian Turnout.
And the McKinnon Medal goes to exhibit 1404, Beyond Reasonable Doubt, Melissa Gillies.
Well, Melissa Gillies, a very skilled lawyer and horsewoman on her beautiful Beyond Reasonable Doubt. She exhibits another horse out here too. Verdict by Direction. They're all given wonderful legal names, fresh from the courtroom, and she will be just delighted with this result here today. What a special moment. The inaugural winner of the McKinnon Medal. We now move on to presenting our placings. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the presentation the very skilled trainer, the assistant to champion trainer, Peter Moody. It is our guest presenter this year, Ms. Catherine Coleman.
Once again, I would like to thank all the organisers for this fantastic and time-honoured event. To be asked here today to help with the presentations is such a great honour because I believe that the foundations of the legacy of the Garryowen are the love of the horse in any way, shape or form, and in any discipline, whether, you know, for some of us that's racing, for others it's showing, or even just enjoying them at home. And I'm so passionate about promoting it. To be here today is a real privilege, and I'm very happy to be here. Congratulations to all the competitors. The horses and rider combinations out here today just look absolutely outstanding and are such a credit to all involved, and really goes to show just what some hard work and dedication can do. Growing up on the other side of Australia as a horse-mad little girl, I'd heard of the almost mythical Garryowen trophy and the prestige and the aura surrounding it. And to be asked here today, you know, to think that my work with racehorses has taken me from that small town in Western Australia to now working alongside some of the country's best trainers and horses and being invited here today, you know, it's almost too good to be true. So again, it just shows what hard work and perseverance can get you, which again, we see with these beautiful horses out here today. So for anyone that's out there in the crowd that might have a goal of competing out here one day, be bold and chase that goal, and I hope to see you out here in the years to come. Congratulations once again to all of today's competitors.
Catherine, you have in your hands the all-important information. We will start with 6th place. Who is the recipient?
6th place in this year's Garryowen goes to exhibit 1652, Rebecca Keane with Dreamtime Lyrics.
Oh, congratulations to Rebecca Keane and Dreamtime Lyrics. You'll now see the presentation made by Diane Melrose, our general appearance judge, and Penny Verco, our costume judge. They will be ably assisted by steward and committee member Dean Matthews. Of course, our great redcoats. What a special moment. Fifth place, Catherine.
5th place in this year's Garryowen is exhibit 192, Stephanie Barrington on Givenchy.
Well, the wonderful Stephanie Barrett campaigning, a previous winner, of course, on the lovely Givenchy. And we'll now see the presentation, the sash, with Cynthia Doherty, our saddlery judge, and our steward, Tony Norris. 4th place, Catherine.
4th place is exhibit 745, Bryony Randall, Lyndon Park, Touch the Clouds.
Another of our successful previous winners out here, the delightful Bryony Randall. We'll see Carol Hassel there, our manners and paces judge, make the presentation of the sash, assisted by steward Raymond Butler. 3rd place.
3rd place, exhibit 1019, Jemima Draper, Bel Air Cartier.
Thank you. Getting to the pointy end of the competition. 2nd place.
Exhibit 938, Elizabeth Krog on Warrawee Impressoro.
The presentation made there by Catherine Neal, our riding judge, assisted by wonderful steward Di Warboys. And before we make our presentation, Catherine, this is a huge moment and we will engage the fanfare.
first place in this year's Garryowen, exhibit 1901, Ebony Lee.
The youngest competitor in the entire competition this year at only 20 years of age. She is not only a first-time competitor, she is the Garryowen combination this year in its 88th years. The glorious young Miss Lee from Tamri Park. Well, Ebony Lee grew up on a horse's back. She's been very successful in the show ring at Grand Nationals, with Royal Champions. She was awarded Champion Lady Rider at Royal Canberra Show this year and at Barrastock Horse of the Year. She's been competing at Melbourne Royal since she was only 2 years of age. Has had a lot of success at this show, from pony turnouts when she was just 11 years of age in the Pemberton Trophy. She took that out 2 times. She's also won the Luke turnout on more than one occasion. She's been very successful in her rider classes, winning 6 of them over the years and 4 champions with 2 reserves. Of course, as is customary with the Garryowen, the beautiful floral garland is being presented, created by Lynn Milburn, assisted by Jason Ronald OAM and Melinda Ralph, the chair of our horse committee. Well, the horse is Wainara Signature, a 6-year-old gelding, sired by Wainara Copyright and out of Wainara Simply Irresistible. Orlando, as he's known in the stables, has been very successful in his first season of showing, winning at Royal Adelaide recently. And behind the scenes, Ebony has a massive team. Her sponsors, Tough Rock Australia, Fujian Japan, LP Designs Australia, La Lapel, Bling It On, Regent Equestrian, Highgain, Mitavite, Haddon Back and Drugs, Equisage. But on the day, it's her family. They know who they are, and they are the team behind the scenes back in the stables and out here in the crowd today. We now welcome our Garryowen winner to receive from our Horses in Action chairman the magnificent sash from our chair here. Melinda Ralph makes the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, make her welcome. It is your Garryowen winner for the 88th year, Ebony Lee.
Well done, beautiful. So I thank you. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to say. I need to thank everyone that's helped me get in the ring today. A massive thank you to beautiful Simone for letting me ride her beautiful. To my mum and my dad, who's helped me get in the ring today, as it was not planned at all. Very last minute, and we made it work. Thank you.
Well done. The trophy, you probably seen it before. And you have a replica for you there.
Okay. Oh my God. There we go. That's a lovely, yes, darling. Come on, over there.
We're seeing the presentation now of course, the trophy a moment ago, and now the gorgeous necklace, 24-carat gold. It is handcrafted by Melbourne Jewellers. It's valued at $2,300, supported by Sally Murrell-Rich, the grandniece of Violet Murrell. The Racing Victoria saddlecloth has been supported by our premier supporter, Racing Victoria Off the Track, $2,000 in prize money, supported by Marguerite Dorr, the grandniece of Violet Murrell, and the Dorr family more broadly. The Garryowen garland with the hacking cane, the antique amethyst tie bar from Jennifer Edwards, all valued together at $2,100 and brought together so beautifully by Lynn Milburn Garlands. $1,000 in prize money from Wagner's Saddlery, a portrait of the Garryowen winning horse supported by Michelle Bird of Michelle Bird Equine Art, valued at $1,000. The trophy rug supported by Cedar Lodge Equine Products, the product pack by International Animal Health. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are going to help our brilliant Garryowen winner here remount as they head on around the arena in a mighty lap of honour with our place getters. All right, we are ready for our lap of honour, Wainara's signature with Ebony Lee aboard. Put your hands together, Melbourne. In second place, Warrawee Impresario with Elizabeth Krog. In third place, Jemima Draper and Bel Air Cartier. In fourth place, Bryony Randall and Lyndon Park Touch the Clouds. Fifth place, Stephanie Barrington and Givenchy. And in sixth place, Rebecca Keane and Dreamtime Lyrics. Well, ladies and gentlemen, she's number one indeed, 20 years old. What an achievement. First-time competitor. You wouldn't read about it. That concludes today's Garryowen presentation. Once again, we sincerely thank Catherine Coleman, our distinguished guests, our judges, stewards, presenters, supporters, and all, of course, the competitors who we're here for, in honour of Violet Murrell and her beloved Garryowen. We trust you enjoyed the presentation. We'll see you back here for 175 years of Melbourne Royal next year and the 89th Garryowen. It's been my pleasure to be your host. Make some memories here at Melbourne Royal Show. Well done, Jason.
Thanks, John.
That was
well
great.
done. Well
Now,
done.
I was hoping to find out if she's the